Yes. It's Monday. How are we all doing, everybody? It's good to see you all, even though I can't see you. What's up? What's going down? It's me, your boy, Donkus Jonkus Monkus. I hope you all had a great weekend. Sorry that we weren't there for Red Planet last night. We had another guest pull out last minute, unfortunately, and these things happen. And also we had an issue with the amount of hosts. I'm sure everyone would have been happy to see a Mule and Tim Red Planet, but we decided that might not be, considering we had to come up with something to talk about at the last minute, and it was just me and Tim. We kind of thought, oh well, never mind. Anyway, Adorable, welcome to the stream. How are you doing? I again, just like last stream, don't have a lot of cool, good Hopium stuff to talk about. And I think that might be why possibly people are avoiding my stream. It's extremely rare that I only say hi to one person in the chat by the time I go live. And I guess I'm late as well. I'm also like a couple of hours late. So I've decided that this is probably going to be the last stream where I talk about depressing stuff, because I know people normally come to me for like Hopium, having a look at like weird little guys in the woods. And I do think that I need to like go back to that as of tomorrow. And that's not necessarily because, I think it's not doing well for like views or anything. It's also to do with the fact that like it's fucking with my head as well. It's definitely fucking with my head as well. I was so fucking depressed last week, chat. Just sat here like, oh yeah, great, the country is spiraling into fascism. What's worse is that I've known it's just gonna be happening for the longest time as well. And god damn it, god fucking damn it, hello, it's a mammal. How you doing? Awesome, Grieve, just lurking, but I'm here. Listen. If you're lurking, I don't want you to think like, oh, I better say something so he doesn't feel bad. I'm not feeling bad about it. It's one of those things. I've been on Twitch for like many, many years. Fortunately, I've been through this before. I've been through, rough patches, and I'll probably go through them again at some stage. So it's just one of those things. But yeah, whatever. Down to watch more of the Aussie Plant Dad, to be honest. Yeah, like there's loads of cool stuff that we could watch. And I think the issue is that like what upsets me is that it just doesn't seem like there's lots of people talking about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, all your standard political streamers are not like fucking going, oh my god, look at the UK, they've made it illegal to protest. I think they already know that it's bad for like trans people, so they're just like, oh well, we know it's bad already. But I just don't know if they know just how bad it is. And it's like, well, I'm here, I'm the political British person, and I should talk about it, right? I should fucking talk about it. Hey Prince, how you doing? Welcome in. I get it. There are terrible things happening, but we can't always look away. Hope is important, but so is facing the issues. It's all well and good me talking about like, oh, we should do this, we should do that, you should do this, you should do that, chat, etc. But, you know, there has to be like, I think, an incentive for people to see like why hope and direct action organizing is necessary. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, we gotta trawl through the disgusting shit every now and then. So yeah, I'm gonna be doing that today. But I had a good weekend and it's been fun. It's been all right. Uni the Dino, hello, welcome into you as well. Yeah, the anti-protest stuff is terrifying. It's not nearly at that stage here in Germany, but the way the media talks about last generation protesters spells an ill omen. It's just kind of like, I think what we all have to be very prepared for, and it's happened faster here in the UK than it has anywhere else in the Imperial Core, other than America, I think. But we have to be prepared for Climate Leviathan. Like, Climate Leviathan is something, it's not some far off thing that like we can expect to see in like 20-30 years. It's like, no, this is shit that's probably going to happen now. You know what I mean? This is shit that's probably going to be like really taking off in the next few years. And like I said, we're seeing it in the UK straight up, it's right here, it's right now, you know. And there are just like lots of privileged people here in the UK, you know, who just at the moment want to bury their head in the sand. And listen, I get it. I get it too. I fully get it. That if you think about how like our country, like not just like our countries in like the government or whatever, but like, you know, the people in our country reacted to COVID. You know, this whole like, oh, well, you know, we'll do what the government says, but I don't really want to think about the fact that there's like an extremely deadly disease out there that's like killing loads of people. You know, and I don't want to be responsible for that. I don't want to really take any responsibility for that. So as soon as they say we could go out, I'm just going to go out again. And hey presto, COVID's still a thing, you know? It makes sense when you analyze things from that perspective about the UK. It makes sense that when we see this other stuff, this other horrible stuff that we would have never, do you know what I mean, considered as people in the UK, you know, growing up and stuff like that, privileged people anyway, they're going to want to bury their head in the sands. And I did it a little bit this weekend as well. You know, I was very much like in my own world. My partner kind of said that we should go watch Eurovision with our friends. I really didn't want to do it because it's like, it's white vision, isn't it? It's just white vision. Like when you think about Eurovision, it's just fucking white vision. And I was right. Like I've never enjoyed it. The camaraderie with the friends was good. You know what I mean? A bunch of queer people in a room talking about queer stuff, watching Eurovision, pretty funny. And we're all quite left wing as well. So you know what I mean? We were all getting pissed off with Israel being there and shit like that. Like it was just like an extremely cringe moment where one of the judges from a country, I can't remember where it was. I think it was Poland. I think Poland was like, stay strong, Ukraine. We know what it's like resisting a large imperial oppressor. So anyway, 12 points to Israel. Like literally, that happened. I was like, these people have no self-awareness whatsoever. It's fine if you're a massive oppressor, as long as you're not killing white people. Basically, that's what they're saying. And I was just like, this is insane. Like, it's absolutely insane that anyone would say that ever. I'm just like, what the fuck? Crazy. Hey, Tart Streams, how you doing? Welcome in. Hello, Mark Salmons. Welcome in. Second year in a row where Israel gets booed during the jury vote and they cut the audience's audio. Did they do that? Did they actually do that? Oh my God. I did not know that. Anyway, outside of politics, you know, watching Oh, I believe it, Tar. Yeah, that's just crazy. It's just fucking nuts. Like, they do just... Eurovision does just sanitize. Eurovision does just sanitize Israel's appearance, don't they? Extremely fucked. Extremely fucked. Israel and Azerbaijan being in there with the whole performative, hollow anti-war messaging is so annoying. Yeah, Azerbaijan's in there as well. I was thinking that. Azerbaijan is, like, really insane. Like they just go to war with people randomly all the time, don't they? I don't know much about Azerbaijan, but, like, you know, maybe something, I don't know, something to do with the Armenian genocide or something. I don't know. That actually happened. I thought it was a joke people made up. No. They're literally, like, this person. I wonder if I can find it. I must be able to find it. Praise for Ukraine and points to Israel. Eurovision. Let's see if I can find this. I can't remember who it was. Yeah, Azerbaijan are at war with Armenia right now. They are. The act made their whole thing about being anti-war, posing with the Israeli act after the show. Wait, what? Wait, what? Wait, which country was that? The media just isn't talking about it at all because Armenians aren't white. Right, yeah, for sure. You can hear the audio person turn it down and checking every 4 seconds to see if the audience is still booing. I did think that. I thought that. Because I remember thinking, like, everyone's going to boo. I was thinking, like, genuinely, everyone's going to boo during Israel's jury thing. And I remember thinking, God, the fucking audio sounds so weird. So, yeah, I think you're right. Eurovision. I think it was Poland. Poland gives points to Israel. I'm absolutely certain it was Poland. I can't find it. It legitimately happened. It's so bad. It was so bad. You have to take my word for it. I was there, chat. I even thought about doing... Do you know what? This probably would have been a better stream for today. Everyone's going to be pissed off with me now. I even thought about doing, like, a Eurovision sort of, like, stream about, like, all the absurd moments and, like, faux pas and stuff like that. But I just didn't have the fucking energy, really. And that would have been, like, #1 on the list. Like, number fucking 1. I'm absolutely certain it was Poland. It could have been Norway. Not sure. But, yeah. You know, and the whole thing, like, the whole, like, you know, the whole thing this year was that the UK was hosting it because they couldn't have it in Ukraine because, obviously, the war. And so it was all in the, like, the colours of Ukraine and all that and this, that, and the other and blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? It was all, like, all the colours of Ukraine and the flag and all that stuff. And just Israel's allowed to perform in it. And Azerbaijan and all these countries that are, like, doing loads of wars everywhere. You know, it's horrific. Verily Bitchy did a decent video on the queer history of Eurovision and put it in content suggestions in Discord. Yeah, it's super gay. Like, everything about Eurovision is, like, really gay. But really white gay, innit? You know what I mean? It's, like, the same problems that exist in, like, the gay village, for example. With like racism and all that in Manchester is like literally the problems with Eurovision. Yeah, it gets more and more grotesque in every aspect. The music was good. The music was really good. Like, Finland had a really good tune and I wanted them to win because it was very fucking queer, wasn't it? There was like all these like twinks burst out of a cage and he was like holding on to him with like a I don't know, like a velvet sash, like on leads and stuff, like twinks on leads. I'm sold, you know what I mean? And the song was pretty good and all. He had this like I don't know what you call it, but he had like a collar, a spiked collar on, like a latex or a rubber spiked collar on with these big puffy fucking eyes. He looked like a Pokemon, innit? It was super gay. Super gay. She also did a video about its imperialism and whitewashing and stuff. It was very gay. That sounds pretty good. He did look like a JoJo character. That is exactly what he looked like. Cha, 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 cha. That was the tune. My partner couldn't stop singing it. Twinks on Leeds, yeah. You're making me sad I never watch Eurovision. I mean, it's like a long thing. You know, it goes on for a long time and like, you know, it's a bit stressful. Twinks on Leeds is making me regret skipping this one. They all like, even the winner is like a bisexual woman as well. Like she's pretty cool. But like it stressed me out that she like won again. I mean, you know, they're bigging her up because it's like, oh yeah, it's the first person to win Eurovision twice, like the first woman. Sorry, to win Eurovision twice, but like, I just think the concept of winning Eurovision twice is absurd. Like if you've already won once, you shouldn't be allowed to do it again. Forget it. Forget it. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. You've won. You've had your chance. Get out. That's it. Let someone else go. Let someone else have a go. In your country. Do you know what I mean? Like, come on. There must be so many artists who are willing. If the UK, right, the UK's submission was so bad, right? When I say bad, I mean like, it was like fully cringe. Fully fucking cringe. Yeah? So cringe. If we can submit that, then any country can submit anything. That's my take. That's my hot take on Eurovision. Hey Vaughn, how you doing? Good to see you. But Mule, she wrote a song. Stop it. Like, the lyrics was so cringe. That was all the lyrics where she was like, I wrote this song. I wrote this song. I was like, what's happening? It was kind of, it was like some cute bits of it. It was like, it was saying like, you slay your own way and all this. And I was like, it's cringe. It's cringe. Overall cringe. You know, Loreen's song was super mid compared to her first win too. It was very like ballady, wasn't it? Think about the pain. That one, innit? It was like very well performed and shit. She looked really fucking high, by the way. She looked really fucking high. I don't know if anyone else clocked this, but like when they were like asking her, like even the commentators, they were saying like when the commentators were like going around during the jury votes, they would like focus on Sweden and she would literally just be there like. And one of the commentators was like, oh, it's getting on a bit for her. She's falling asleep. It's like, no, dude, she just tried a massive fucking blunt. She just smoked the biggest fucking blunt of all time. Yeah, she was on another plane. She was definitely high as shit. And then as well, Alicia Dixon, was it Alicia Dixon? Was like sat next to her. When they were like asking about like the jury vote, like she'd won the jury vote this summer, and then like Alicia Dixon and that other girl was like interviewing her, and then she flicked her hair a little bit, and some hair got like stuck on a microphone, and it was like hanging off her face, and it was like all down here, and then Alicia Dixon had to like pick it off her face. It was so funny. Oh, Jesus Christ. And so, I mean, you know, some of the UK hosts, they look kind of drunk as well, you know? Like the tall blonde lady, she looked like she was so drunk. She just couldn't stop laughing. Are you surprised somebody who won a song singing Euphoria goes on stage high as a kite? No, I'm not. It's just like she got too high. Do you know what I mean? She got way too high. It was too much. She'd been smoking too much. She'd gone past the point of like, you know when you smoke weed, yeah? Like, and I know this because I've smoked weed for a long time, yeah? Right. And there's a point, right, from when this is being sober, right? In fact, do you know what? We'll start on here because everything's reversed on stream, isn't it? So, right here, you're sober, right? And then you can like smoke weed and have fun. Like, so this is like the scale of like highness, yeah? So you're like sober here. This is like so high you can't move and you just pass out, right? This kind of shit. You can smoke weed in my experience, you can smoke weed up until about this point before you start to get scared of just stuff, just like random stuff that's in your head, like intrusive thoughts, like open to any kind of like, and the fear gets in, and the further you go down here, the stronger the fear gets till you're having like a fucking panic attack. But then it'll stop about here, and then if you smoke a bit more, you'll just be like a mess and you'll pass out. So, you know, it's like there's that. And she was about here. She was about here. She was getting scared. She was thinking like, I've got too high. Eurovision's on. Oh dear. I've made a mistake. Speaking of super gay acts, my girlfriend's band had a gig on Friday and I had such a great time. That sounds really nice. I'm glad you had a good time. I'm glad that your girlfriend had a nice gig. I hope it was a nice gig. You know what, chat? I've decided. I'm scrapping the whole plan of the stream. I'm changing it up. We're gonna watch the Eurovision thing. Eurovision is cringe. That's gonna be the title. That's what we're going for. We're scrapping it all. We're scrapping everything. Hey Gobs, how's it going? Everybody go follow Goblin Hugger. They're amazing. Time to watch cringe. It's time to watch cringe. That's what we're doing. So Awesomo's just put this in the content suggestions stream. The Gay Olympics. The queer politics of Eurovision. Is that what this is called? I've never seen Verily Bitchy. I don't know who this is. No idea. Was Eurovision ever not cringe? No, I think that's the point. That's the point I'm trying to make here. Let me just switch up a couple things. No, we're not doing 75 years of the Nakba now. 75 years of genocide. It is 75 years of the Nakba, by the way, which is upsetting. And everybody should be aware of that. However, I'm going to call this, I'm a Eurovision queer now. That's what this segment's going to be called. Right, listen, chat, we're doing escapism. It's happening. Changed. The complete change of the stream. People are going to be looking. People are going to be looking at my go live tweet and they're going to like go, oh, we're not watching that. But actually, we're having a lot of fun. Actually, we're going to be having a lot of fun. Content warning. Should there be content warnings for this? What do we got? I imagine there's going to be like some kind of like queer phobia in here. So let's just put that in for the time being. Queer phobia. And I think that should do for the time being. Right, chat, it's happening. I don't know who Verily Bitchy is, but I think lots of people know this channel. And I'm sort of like loud music. No, it's not like Trash Bingers. It's not like Trash Bingers. In 2013, Russia. I think that lots of people know Verily Bitchy, but I don't. So this is me, first timer. Let's check out one of Verily Bitchy's videos. I'm going to change the title of the stream as well. Oh, no, I already did that. Yeah, I already did that. Okay. But yeah, check out the video. Have it playing in a muted tab next to the stream. And let's check this out.
Introduced an anti-gay propaganda law which alleged to protect kids from homosexuality. Seemingly in response to this, bearded drag queen Conchita Wurst was chosen to represent Austria in the Eurovision Song Contest 2014.
I remember
Russia's entry that year were basically kids themselves, teenage twins, the Tolmachevi sisters, who themselves hadn't said anything homophobic but became a target for the audience's anger towards Russia. They booed the girls while cheering Conchita.
Thank you very much, screen.
Despite this, the Russian twins actually found themselves leading the scoreboard, at least to begin with. Conchita gradually made her way up the scoreboard, gaining points from all over Europe, including Russia itself, until finally it became clear before the last points had even been given, that no one could overtake her.
It's no longer possible for any other country to catch up. We are ready to announce the winner.
I remember this a lot, like, because back in the day, 2013, I remember people like saying, "Oh, Conchita Wurst, look at her, she's got a beard, it's confusing, oh my god, how scary," right? And even back then, when I was like, you know, I didn't know I was queer, I wasn't really like doing too much, you know, in the way of radical politics or anything like that. Like, even I was like, so what? Like, pretty fucking cool, you know what I mean? Like, wearing a beard and dressing like that, that's pretty rad, you know?
The winner is Austria!
Conchita Wurst had won the Eurovision Song Contest, the first drag queen and the first openly gay man to win the show.
This night is dedicated to everyone who believes in a future of peace and freedom.
Yeah!
You know who you are. We are unity, and we are unstoppable.
Conchita performed her song again, but this time the lyrics took on a whole new meaning.
I was on holiday with my family and closeted and going, I think she's pretty cool, actually.
She changed the words at the last minute to say, rather than "I will rise up," that "we will rise up." And we all knew this wasn't just a victory for Austria, this wasn't just a victory for Conchita, but for queer people everywhere, for gender non-conforming people. It was a victory for liberation and freedom, a slap in the face for Russia and their homophobic law.
Yeah,
and they say
fuck 'em.
Eurovision's not political. The Eurovision Song Contest is commonly considered to be very, very gay. At least it has been for the last few decades. We've had a gay winner, a trans winner, bi winners, lesbian winners.
Hey,
Eurovision actually
Thasmadar. Thasmadar says, I'm Austrian. I remember this sentiment in the press that Austria defeated homophobia. Homophobia ended. At the same time, I heard a very different tune from reactionaries on the street. Yeah, of course, of course.
Has a secret gay history, which goes back to the very beginning. Even when it was impossible for contestants to be out in the 50s and 60s, it was well understood that there were gay performances happening. The gay fans knew who was gay and which gay people were producing songs. The winning song in 1961 was about a gay relationship and the struggle of being together in a homophobic world. Except the lyrics were all made gender neutral to disguise the true meaning.
Ooh.
But gay fans knew. They knew. Eurovision is also famous for its campness, and the gays do love a bit of camp. But the challenge of bringing open queerness to Eurovision took a surprisingly long time. The first out gay contestant wasn't until 1997, and yet his act is surprisingly heterosexual for one that simultaneously looks so gay. International won for Israel in 1998. In 2000, the Israeli band Ping Pong brought both Israeli and Syrian flags on stage as a message of peace, which enraged the Israeli broadcasters so much that they disowned them and said that Ping Pong would have to cover all of the Eurovision expenses on their own.
Israel is a fucking psychopath state. Do you hear that, chat? Did you hear what just happened? Like when Israel hosted, or like no, this was I don't think Israel hosted it. I think this was Israel's performance, like Ping Pong. They were literally just like, oh yeah, we should not go to war with, you know what I mean? Like these like clearly progressive people, and they're like, you know, oh yeah, we should like maybe not go to war with Syria, innit? Like maybe that would be like a bad thing. And Israel was like, well, you're gonna have to cover all the expenses for Eurovision yourself, aren't you? Like, just so cringe, just extremely whinging.
And Syrian flags on stage as a message of peace, which enraged the Israeli broadcasters so much that they disowned them and said that
the Israeli broadcaster outraged Israel disowns daring Eurovision entry. So is that Israel the country, or what do they mean, the broadcaster? The broadcaster, it must be the broadcaster who was broadcasting them on TV in Israel, innit? Must be that. The fact that Israel is even in Eurovision shows that it's about whiteness. Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, I was watching all these fucking acts, and again, like, you know, just no black people. Like the I think like the least white song was I'm gonna forget now. There was a tune, and it was still like a white lady from like Norway or something, and she was walking down the catwalk, and then she was joined by like 3 like black singers, and I was like, oh shit, it's the least white tune in the show. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like, there's just no black people at all. It's just insane. I think there was a black guy from Brussels, and he had like a white DJ friend or something, but it's so fucking white. So absurdly white. Hey Murphy, how's it going? Welcome in. Everybody, please go follow Murphy. They're absolutely incredible. How are you doing, Murph? Murph, I didn't know you went by any pronouns. Any pronouns? Literally any pronouns now? Is that new? Is that up to date? Because, yeah, I can call you whatever the fuck. Whatever the fuck. Whatever you want. I'm so lost about the show. Wait, what do you mean? About which show? Literally anything. Oh my gosh. I might throw you like a little it's. I might go straight up he, him. Fay, fair. There's everything. So many opportunities. The world is your oyster when referring to Murphy. Love that shit. Love that for you. I remember there being a few black and brown acts last year, but not enough. Yeah, it's just like, it's just so white. Anyway, right. Israel, right.
Ping Pong would have to cover all of the Eurovision expenses on their own. All the drama around flags kind of overshadowed the fact that Ping Pong also gave us the first Eurovision gay kiss. It was just a little peck, but it's there.
Wait, what?
And that would be both the first and the last gay kiss at Eurovision for a long time.
Fucking hell. It's so sad, yeah. It's so right. I have a couple problems with that. Right. First of all, it's that was so tiny, small peck that it just didn't feel very gay, did it? It might have been 2 men doing it, but it's left a lot to be desired, really, didn't it? There was no love there, no passion, just like, mwah. They might as well have been saying hello. Hiya, mate. Mwah. Wouldn't it be nice if we did that? Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked now. EU's had a lot of white people in the past, so it makes sense the representation matches. It's just obviously like they don't want to put on black acts because of that in it. You know what I mean? There's like, I get what you're saying. Like it's obviously like it's part of the institution of colonial white supremacy all over Europe in it. You know what I mean? It's what that is. Straightest vibe and a gay kiss, very true. Thank you, Trash Goyle. I like your name. It seems like you've changed. You're someone who's changed your name, or maybe you're not. Maybe I've just never chatted to you before. No, definitely no. You were here on the Gnome stream, so welcome in. Hope you're doing good. Good to see you. Yeah. Where's the passion? Where's the longing? Where's the desperation? It's just not there.
A fun Slovenian drag act brightened up 2002, but 2003 was when the real controversy began. Young people won't remember that Russia was once notorious for its supposedly lesbian teen pop duo Tattoo.
How do people not remember Tattoo? Tattoo, all the things she said, running through my head. That was still playing in like gay bars about 5 years ago.
Who took the world by storm by pretending to be girlfriends. I know it's hard to imagine now, but this was a time when Russia's biggest cultural export was probably this supposed pair of teenage lesbians.
It's true.
Russia was hoping that the global popularity of these...
And yeah, aren't they really bad? For some reason, like, Tattoo is, like, really bad. I mean, for a start, it's queer baiting. That's why it's bad, isn't it? But then also, like, there was something that they did or something that they said that was, like, really bad. Can't remember. Oh, hey, how you doing, Overzealous Euthanasia? Yes, not seen you in a while. Heard a drum and bass remix by Vengent. Vengent's really cool. I fucking love Vengent. Vengent. Let's get him up. Let's get that up. Rapid. I'm gonna check that out. Hold up. Vengent Tattoo. No way. The Vengent bootleg. Let's check this out. I love this guy. He's British, isn't he? Vengent?
All the things you said, running through my head, running through my head, running
play this on my next DJ stream. Brother used to love Tattoo, still has a CD, but I think he said they're homophobes. Yeah, definitely. Its video is like big pedo vibes as well, isn't it? It's like two schoolgirls making out, but they're not actually gay, and like it feels like someone forced them to do this, like heavy pedo vibes. You know what I mean? Yeah, you don't think of it when you're a kid. That's what I love about fucking drum and bass, yeah, is that it doesn't even like doesn't even sound like the original tune at all. He's just completely fucking destroyed it, like mangled it. Buzzing. Oh, Vengent is a fucking animal. I love that shit. No way did he do that. No way did he do that. I'm gonna have to like he's got like it's a free download. Oh, that's definitely going on the fucking that's definitely going on the list next DJ stream. By the way, chat, I will be doing a DJ stream if we hit the end of the month goal for subbing off Twitch. If you fancy subbing off Twitch, you can do so at the following link that's in the chat right there. Anyway, what did I miss in the chat? The black-haired one said something to the effect of lesbians are fine, but gay men are not. Okay, normal. What a normal thing to say.
Bring them their first Eurovision victory, meaning that Eurovision would then be hosted in Russia the following year. The girls were notorious for being provocative and sexy, and had suggested their Eurovision act would include some of said sexiness. But the Eurovision showrunners said that a backup recording of their dress rehearsal would be made just in case the girls kissed, so it could be censored. This was a family show, they said, and a lesbian kiss would be inappropriate and would lead to a disqualification. Oh yes, such a family show Eurovision is. Nothing sexy or naughty here. Nope.
Didn't they, like, literally, wasn't... One of the UK winners was Bucks Fizz, wasn't it? Where they, like, ripped the fucking pants off. They literally just went and, like, ripped the pants off. Hold up. I'm pretty fucking... Bucks Fizz, UK Eurovision. Bucks Fizz... Why is that not happened? Firefox does some weird shit, chat. Bucks Fizz Eurovision UK winners. And then if you go videos, is that Dieter Von Teese? It looks like it, yeah. Making your mind up. This is the tune. Bucks Fizz, making your mind up. Hold up. Can we get the Eurovision 1981?
Some of them.
And this is in 1981.
Actually got the Jared Victory, wrote the piece specially for the Irish film. But one of the hot favourites indeed is Making Your Mind Up.
Oh my god, look how fucking cringe this shit is back in the day. Just proper like BBC. Oh yes, Making Your Mind Up. Now don't forget about Making Your Mind Up.
From Bucks Fizz for Britain. The group was specially formed for the Eurovision Song Contest and consists of Jay Aston, Cheryl Baker, Bobby G and Michael Nolan. Michael is one of 5 brothers born in Dublin. His mother comes from Cork, and he's been singing in pubs and clubs before turning professional in 1977. Cheryl has an Irish grandmother and was a member of Coco, who sang for Britain in 1978.
Why are they talking about how Irish they are? They're like obsessed with talking about how Irish they are. Like, anti-Irish sentiment is so strong in this country at one time. It's, like, absolutely insane. Hey, Just Johnny, how you doing? I think it is Terry Wogan, yeah. I think it is Terry Wogan.
By Andy Hill and John Danter.
No. This is definitely not Terry Wogan because he doesn't sound Welsh.
Andy is a session musician and has his songs recorded by Cliff Richard and our own Johnny Logan. And John Danter is also a session musician, and he tells me that he collects old broken down cars in his spare time. The conductor is a man who has worked with international stars like Frank Sinatra, The 3 Degrees, Dana and Shirley Bassey. His name, John Coleman.
Oh, just fucking get on with it. Right, here we go. It's very, very 80s and 90s. Makes you want to buy some wine gums. Oh my god, they're doing the fucking... What is that? The hot potato or some shit? Right, when's the bit when they take the keks off? I'm pretty sure they do it. Do they not do it? Wait, have I made that up? Chat, I think I'm experiencing the Mandela effect. No, she's got a shorter skirt on there. Wait, is it just the girls that do it? Oh, that's cringe. Oh, that's very cringe. Hand jive? Is that what it's called? Cringe. Cringe. Super cringe. Only the women do it. And the men do it to the women. Fuck me. Well, anyway, there you go. That's all I wanted to show you, just to prove that, like, yeah, you know. Anyway, me when I spread Eurovision misinformation over the internet. But it's not. I figured it out. It's true. It's true. It was the cringe of times. It was the cringe of times. It was. That's what this song is. Sometimes I'll like find a song and think, what's this? And listen to it and realize I can sing along because I've heard it a billion times on the radio. Yeah, it's just not good. Peak 80s Brit cringe.
Nothing to see here, folks. We all just pray to Jesus during the ad breaks. Effectively, gay kissing had been banned at Eurovision. In the end, Russia didn't win, and Tattoo didn't even attempt to kiss. Nor did they attempt to kiss when Russia finally did host in 2009, and Tattoo reprised their performance with a military choir and flowery tanks. Wow, thank you, Russia. That was so totally normal of you. Good job. But this was 2009, and by now, queerness at Eurovision was becoming increasingly more visible and accepted. Serbian lesbian Maria Šerifović won in 2007 with Molitva. She wasn't out at the time, but it's pretty clear what's happening here, with Verka Serduchka's drag act coming in second place above a slew of other queer and camp performances, though certainly no gay kisses. When Serbia hosted in 2008, they really leaned into the lesbian aesthetic of Molitva with a full-on lesbian wedding. They were like, yes, lesbians, work that gender. So when Eurovision went to Russia in 2009, local LGBT activists wanted to leverage the international attention of Eurovision to organize a pride parade in Moscow on the day of the Eurovision final. Despite the fact that the mayor had actually banned pride as he had in the previous years. The parade was broken up by the police and at least
no more pride.
Protesters were arrested. Sadly, Tattoo's flower tanks didn't do much to advance gay rights that year in Russia. That year's winner, Alexander Rybak, said after the show,
"It's a little bit sad that they chose to have this parade today, because the biggest gay parade in the world was tonight, you know?"
2013 saw a particularly misogynist song about being a submissive wife to your husband. I'm your slave, you're my master.
What? Oh, wait, it's gay?
Reveal a surprise gay ending.
Yay!
See, she's a submissive wife to her wife. Wow. What a twist. The performer, Krista Siegfried, stated that the kiss was meant as a message urging her country, Finland, to legalize same-sex marriage. Now, Eurovision is technically supposed to be apolitical. They're very clear about that.
Please remember that our motto is building bridges, and music should stand over politics tonight.
Yet,
Cringe! Cringe! Oh my god! Cringe! Like, music, apolitical. Music, famously, never arose out of any political situations whatsoever. Non-political event. It makes me sick. It makes me sick. Every single bit of me that is a musician, yeah, is like dying inside right now.
somehow these gay marriage messages just keep getting through. So at this point, there seems to have been a precedent set by performances like Siegfried's and Ping Pong's that gay kisses at Eurovision don't usually come from queer performers, but are rather used for political and showbiz purposes. They tend to have this vibe of like, oh look, it's so heterosexual and wholesome, boom, it's gay, gotcha. In fact, as far as we can find, gay kisses in Eurovision have only been performed by straight people, or at least not anyone who's out. This means that the only queer performer who considered a gay kiss on stage, Tattoo member Yulia Volkova, who actually turned out to be bisexual for real, was told no by Eurovision producers. Obviously, Tattoo's kiss wasn't going to be...
Hey, Ashrand, how you doing? This
really would have been
this machine kills politics.
as much of the shock value.
That's what Rudy Guthrie had on his guitar, isn't it? That's right. This machine has no opinion. That's what he wrote, isn't it, on his guitar?
As ping pongs, but how wild is it that Eurovision banned a gay kiss from Russia that was completely apolitical? But then again, I suppose we saw things very differently back in the 2000s, such as Terry Wogan with his UK commentary when he saw Serbia's very lesbian performance. Could only bring himself to constantly remark on how unattractive he found Maria Sharapova.
I can't stand men. I can't. Men. No one asked. Who asked you whether you find them attractive or not? No one cares. Literally no one cares, dude.
Now this, Maria, is a homely looking girl. You see, looks aren't everything. It's that little strange looking girl.
The UK's act that year was a
Fuck me, dude.
song full of innuendo and European flags, because surely that's enough to get every country to vote for you. Just wave their little flags and they say, oh, that's me, I'll vote for you, UK.
Whoa, who's this? I remember these. Who were these again? These are like the worst, most embarrassing one, isn't it? These were like the worst, most embarrassing UK submission of like the last 20 years or something, wasn't it? Wasn't it a song like called Airline Love or something? Let's have a look. Let's have a quick Google. Airline Love. UK Eurovision. Scooch. Flying the Flag. That's what it's called. Cringe. Scooch. Oh my god. Prepare for high grade cringe. Chat. High grade cringe. Oh no, dude. Oh, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. This is already the worst thing I've ever seen. That's going to be like a fucking... What is that? Oh, no,
This is your captain speaking. I'd like to welcome you aboard this Eurovision flight. The duration will be 3 minutes exactly. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy.
Was it like Scooter? It's like, what did they heard like the Scooter tunes. You know about that Scooter tune? What is it called? Jumping All Over the World. They literally just nicked that, didn't they? Hang on. By the way, there's absolutely no way this VOD is going to make it onto YouTube. There's no way. If you want to see this VOD, subscribe to my Patreon. It's like this, innit? It's literally this.
Hardcore, rock you down to the floor. Bossy Sawyer on the ball. Put jump on board. Hardcore, you down to...
It's got like a similar vibe to that, but I think the music video's got like something else in it. Hang on. Scooter Jumping All Over the World music video. Official video HD. Where are these guys from again? Where's Scooter from? Like the Netherlands? Or is it fucking...
We are paging Mr. Baxter,
Yeah.
Mr. Jordan, and Mr. Simon to proceed to boarding gate 38 immediately.
It's literally that. It's literally that. They do like a fucking... they're from Germany. Yeah, they do a fucking... like a call out in the airport. It's just that. Same shit. Remember those fluffy hoods being the rage for the guys? Yeah. Yeah. Big fluffy parkas. Oh, he's got a big bottle of piss. Look at that. Chat.
That's piss.
There it is. I'm out. Cringe.
I'll vote for you.
They don't let you take piss on an aeroplane since 9/11. It's true.
I understand pull on the red cord and blow into the mouthpiece is meant to be suggestive, but it is one of the more upsetting innuendos I think I've ever heard. Wogan was convinced, as people voted for Šerifović and ignored the UK's beautiful pantomime, that it must be an Eastern Bloc conspiracy. The communists taking over Eurovision.
No way did he say
We're
that.
going to have to build a wall.
It seemed like Eastern Europe was too uncultured to see the heart and soul that went into the UK's
Cringe,
song.
dude. So cringe.
I think that what the UK doesn't understand is whenever Brits threaten to come to another country, people assume they're either going to try and invade and colonise or, more likely, get drunk and make a mess, neither of which is particularly fun for anyone else.
Yep.
Western Europe felt that the Eastern countries must be discriminating against them because the former commies didn't understand normal things like democracy and meritocracy and objectivity. They're corrupt and conniving, you see, as you would expect a communist to be.
It's
This
true.
had to be true.
Just
rather
like me,
than the
for
idea
real.
that they were just sending good stuff. Where Western European artists would avoid something as tacky as Eurovision, Eastern artists were excited to go, sending the biggest, most popular stars in their regions, while Western Europe was sending camp flight attendants and turkey puppets. And it seems like the reason Western artists saw Eurovision as tacky and bad for their careers was at least in part because Terry Wogan made Eurovision into a joke. In Eastern Europe, it's taken more seriously, so they just send better content. But
Yep.
Wogan wasn't totally wrong about bloc voting. It is a thing. Countries commonly vote for their neighbours, but it's not really for political reasons and certainly not for the sake of communism, but just because they share languages and
Yep.
culture and music markets. Singers popular in Serbia will also be popular in Croatia, while singers popular in the UK will also be popular in Ireland. In fact, Wogan didn't seem to have a problem with the fact that the only countries giving the UK any points were the ones that the UK had previously colonised.
So you see, you can always rely on the Irish.
If bloc voting were a real problem, the same countries would be winning every year. Eastern European countries just weren't winning disproportionately. They didn't even win half the time, yet the West was convinced that a great injustice was happening to them. That same year, in 2007, Austria complained that the contest had become politicised, and they felt
Too
so
political.
victimised by Eastern Europe's success that they quit and didn't come back for another 3 years, ignoring their own history of political choices. Austria's song that very year was an activist anthem created for an HIV fundraiser, but I guess...
Oh shit, no way. No fucking way. What year was that?
They quit and didn't come back for another 3 years, ignoring their own history of political choices. Austria's song that very year was an activist anthem created for an HIV...
Shuggy said bye. Thank you so much for the 30 months. Thank you for subscribing for 30 months. That's fucking ages. Appreciate that. How you doing?
fundraiser, but I guess in their eyes that didn't count as politicising the contest, and yet...
2007, Live Ball by Eric Papilaya. Overzealous Euthanasia. Thank you so much for the Prime sub. Appreciate that.
Yet Maria Šerifović's love song did, because I guess she is Serbian. And a year after that, Terry Wogan was so convinced that his Eastern Bloc conspiracy theory was true that he quit his job as UK Eurovision commentator.
Wait, what? Terry Wogan told a gathering of European broadcasters to stop taking the Eurovision Song Contest so seriously, as everybody knows it's rubbish. He's literally, like, mad that the UK has ever done anything. Has never won anything in Eurovision. Like, you know, we've literally... I think, what is it? Is it like... some kind of leaderboard where the UK is like, I think we're like 10th in countries that have like least won Eurovision, like the countries that have won Eurovision the least, and we're like right at the bottom. We're like number 10 out of like 15 or something. I don't know. List of countries that have won Eurovision. Right, let's have a look. No, why is it just giving me that? Eurovision winners. All the winners from the history of the Eurovision Song Contest. Excuse me. So, let's have a little look. Oh my god, so many. So many. Sweden has matched Ireland for the highest wins now. I wish it just gave me like a proper list. But like you can have a look pretty solidly here. Like it's like what we got? Right. Count how many times you see the United Kingdom, folks. Right. 1, 2. Wait, what? There was like a foot. Wait, what? What's going on there? Why did 4 people win at once? Did everyone get the same? Did everyone get the same amount of votes? Wait, what? Anyway, I'll count that as 2. 3. 4. 5. In 1997, Love Shine a Light, Katrina and the Waves. I don't even know who that is. I've never heard that song in my entire life. That's it. 5 times. 5 times. One of them doesn't even really count. Those evil communists and their listenable music. That's right. We're supposed to send shit and mop up anyway, is the Eurovision Brexit strategy for the UK. That's true. Wait, what is that? Love Shine a Light, Katrina and the Waves. I have never heard this tune. This was in my lifetime, and I've never heard this tune.
Love shine light in every corner of my heart. Let the love light carry.
Oh, no. I have heard it. Oh, no. I know this song. Oh, they used to make us... This is how insane the UK is, folks. Right? This is how insane the UK is, yeah? They used to make us... They used to make us sing this at, like, assembly. In primary school, yeah, you would do a thing every morning called assembly. And I remember very, very specifically, like either like a couple of years after this, obviously it was in 1997, maybe like 1998, 1999 or whatever, like there was like, they would make us sing this song like it's a hymn. Like it's a hymn. Better than the Pledge of Allegiance in the US. Well, I'd argue it's worse. Oh, it's so insane that I know this song, but I don't know it as the Eurovision winner. You did it too in Ireland. What? Why in Ireland? That's insane, dude.
Let our love shine light in every corner of our hearts.
I've heard enough. I can't believe that they made you do it in Ireland as well. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. Have you heard the Wendy's Hot Drinks Training song from the 80s? It's a bit of a surprise bop for corporate propaganda. I've not. You'll have to put it in the Discord.
So to try and appease...
It's a really bad song. Yeah, it's a really bad song.
Introduced juries to counterweight alleged block voting via the opinions of music industry professionals. So juries were literally introduced to Eurovision because of the prejudice towards Eastern Europe. Ironically, while the juries were supposed to make Eurovision
doing assembly in Cornwall, it was all hymns and Imagine, and parents complained about that. You can't be letting my kid sing John Lennon. He's a bloody communist. Something like that. I can't do West Country accents.
Ended up making it more corrupt. There have always been attempts to cheat at Eurovision, but trying to influence the televote is complicated and costly, whereas bribing a 5-member jury...
The UK makes such good music. What is it with these Eurovision submissions? Well, the thing is that the people who make the best music in the UK are all black. And Eurovision, well, they can't have that, can they?
is much easier.
That's
and
the
much
answer to
cheaper.
that.
There have been countless instances of juries being caught cheating over.
Can you imagine, like, Stormzy at Eurovision? Just absolutely fucking destroy it. It would be sick. It would be fucking sick.
As well as just not doing their job properly. In 2016, a live stream by a Russian jury member showed jurors on their phone not paying attention to the act, and a juror stating she would vote for Armenia because her husband was Armenian. And this panic over Eastern Europe dominating televote was all a bit pointless anyway. In the last 13 years, Eastern Europe had only won the televote twice, which means that even without the new jury system, Eastern Europe would not have dominated Eurovision. Because Eurovision now...
Oh, those are the guys that did cocaine. That's the guy that sniffed a line. Hang on a minute. Where was he?
New jury system,
Not that one.
Europe would not have
that one. Who was that? Was that Italy? Italy, Eurovision, cocaine. Is it? Yeah. He didn't actually do a line of coke. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Everyone was saying that it just looked really suspicious. Shut the fuck up. Shut the absolute fuck up. He definitely gave in someone else's piss. Definitely gave in someone else's piss. Listen, I've seen so many people do so much coke over the years. You can even look at how concerned his bandmate member is. His bandmate is. Look there.
I'm so happy to have performed, and I'm so happy that Eurovision happened.
Did you see?
It's so happy to have performed, and I'm so happy that Eurovision.
Sniffing it. Quick sniff.
Happened. I'm so happy to have
Quick sniff. Sniffed the fucking line right there, didn't he? Definitely.
Dominated Eurovision. Because Eurovision now included so many countries, they introduced a pre-selection process later.
He probably do you know what I mean? He probably like went down to sniff like a big one. Because think about it. If you do a bit of Bing, right? 9 times out of 10 you're doing it like because you're like, you know, high grade rush kind of shit, like, you know, and someone who loves a bit of beak would definitely do a line at Eurovision. 100%. Like, you know, I can imagine, I could see one of his mates in the back going like, I dare you to sniff a fucking big line at Eurovision, like right on the desk. Do it right on the desk when the cameras are on you. I dare you. Do you know what I mean? 100%. He probably went down to do it and then shat himself a little bit and then went, no. Or maybe his mate like sort of kicked him under the table or something. Went, no. Apparently a glass broke on the floor. He was looking and moving it with his foot. No. He sniffed the Bing. Sniffing Bing.
Semi-finals, so that
nose
the
whiskey
best of them would perform at the actual Eurovision finale. The first time Germany didn't make it, they felt incredibly victimised, and the EBU got a bit worried about the countries paying the most of the contest not making it to the final. So Eurovision ended up introducing the Big Five system, which grants these 5 large Western countries a direct entry into the final without having to compete in the semis to get there first. So
wait, what? Pardon me? Eurovision ended up introducing the Big Five system, which grants these 5 large Western... What?
Eurovision ended up introducing the Big Five system, which grants the...
So, you're telling me UK, Germany, Italy, France, Spain, they all get to go in the final. So that's why... I mean, Spain this year was pretty good. And Italy's was pretty good as well. I liked Spain and Italy's. But France and the UK, and I don't even remember Germany... I literally don't even remember Germany's tune. It was shit. Like, all 3 of them were just, like, so mid. Like, below mid. You know.
These 5 large Western countries...
Germany placed last. Yeah, they did, didn't they? Yeah, I remember that. Because I remember thinking, like, oh, they've not got a lot of points. So I don't remember actually hearing what they did.
Entry into the final without having to compete in the semis to get there first. So today, despite being more inclusive of Eastern Europe, the whole of Eurovision is structured around giving big Western countries a special advantage, whether they actually send good performances or not. They still don't win, but, you know, they could. In theory, they do their best. Not going to the semi-final means that they often show up to the final with a song that they don't know if Europe is actually going to like or not, and end up humiliated with 0 points in front of everyone.
Yeah, right!
The United Kingdom gets 0 points.
It's strange to think that back in 2007...
Oh, that really does feel good.
Gets 0 points.
It's strange.
His face! I just want to see his face again. Just give me a sec. Just indulge me, chat. Just let me see this guy's face. He thought he was coming away with the fucking crown, man. Come on, show me the face. He's laughing his ass off. He's like, yeah, we're going to do it. The public vote. The public vote's going to win for us, everybody. Even though all the other countries didn't like us, it's just because they're jealous. It's just because they're jealous. And then you can see the moment that his heart breaks.
Points.
There it is. He heard it. 0 points. He's not quite got it at this point. He's like, did they say that? And then, like, you know, a couple of frames later, he's like slowly getting it. He's like going, oh, yeah, they did say that. He's a bit shocked. He's like a bit shocked. He's like, huh? Yeah, dude. Yeah, you got 0 point. Look at his fucking mate's face. Look at his mate's face. They rigged the system in our favor and we still can't win. It's so funny. Yeah, literally.
It's strange to think that back in 2007, the narrative seemed to be that the West was being victimized by this Serbian lesbian and a love song, when nowadays Eurovision has really built up this impression of a progressive Western Europe fighting for gay rights against the backwards primitive Eastern Europe. You saw it in Sweden's portrayal of themselves in 2013, praising their own progressive attitudes towards gay rights. You saw it in the constant booing of Russia in the following years. Graham Norton, the UK's current commentator, tends to be shocked when Eastern Europe votes for something queer.
She's not going to get 12s, I think, from Ukraine or Georgia or Slovenia.
Those countries aren't as advanced as the UK, even though Slovenia did send drag queens 12 years earlier and Ukraine did 7 years earlier. But let's see what they did give Conchita.
Austria.
L'Autriche.
I'm amazed Ukraine have given her that many points.
Austria. L'Autriche.
Now, this is extraordinary. That was a country I really didn't think would give her a big vote.
Congratulations, Conchita. Austria, 12 points.
L'Autriche, 12 points.
And Georgia actually gave Conchita more points in the televote than the UK did.
Incredible.
The UK gave Conchita the same number of televote points as Russia. Of course, in reality, some of the biggest queer and gender-bending acts have come from Central and Eastern Europe, including Serbia, Ukraine, Slovenia, Russia, Lithuania. The same as the Eastern Bloc voting accusations, this dichotomy of gay-friendly Western Europe and backwards homophobic Eastern Europe doesn't hold quite as much water as we like to think.
Yeah.
We like to interpret the gay scandals of Eurovision as a West versus East thing, with enlightened countries like the UK and Sweden being grand protectors of all gay kind, and evil communist Eastern Europe as the homophobic villain. But
well, you know, that kind of goes hand in hand with the shit where you hear a lot of people saying things like, oh, did you know in the USSR it was illegal to be gay? You get thrown in prison in the USSR if you were gay. Just thrown right in prison. Just they put you in prison. Oh my God. How long would they put you in prison for? Oh, well, for about 5 years or something. It's like, oh, when did they stop killing people for being gay in the United Kingdom? Oh, well, I guess that was 1967, actually, when they did that. When they stopped doing that. I guess that's when that happened.
Really,
you know?
this is a
and it's like, you know, obviously, like, it's not going to have been the same all over the place. The USSR was like a massive fucking place. And, you know, I think, like, the way that Russia has gone now, in terms of like being extremely homophobic, is obviously like a direct result of like, you know, the insidious nature of like, you know, white supremacist, capitalist, imperialist hegemony and shit like that. But it's just so funny that like they're absolutely convinced, like everybody all over the world is convinced, like, oh my God, Eastern Europeans like so homophobic, like they just absolutely fucking hate the gays. And that is just, it's a layover, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's like a layover from actual like anti-communist ideas. Yeah, and yeah, also Western white Europe figured itself 1,000 times more civilized when it's not. Yeah, and it's so fucking bad. Like the UK have like thingied. We've gone from being the first in like the country that's the best for queers to live in to being like number 15 or something. Number 15, whenever that was. Literally this year, I think. I said something to my friend that still applies. The best Eurovision performances are always are always gay butt sex pagan rituals. Hello, sad Maxwell cat.
Effect of homophobia floating underneath their society too. Look at how Trudeau spoke in private that one time using F slurs.
Yeah, thanks for the sub, by the way. Thanks for the 2 months. Yeah, obviously, like, no, I don't think anyone's under any impression that like Canada or the USA or any like, you know, other country that is like seemingly supposed to be like the best place for queers, you know, is actually the best place for queers. Also, hi Video Pheasant, Eurovision is not cringe. It is. It's very cringe. And that's the end of that. The best Eurovision performance is always gay butt sex pagan rituals. Yep, goes hard. Hi Lost Futures, how you doing? Welcome in. Lauren Low Budget, long time no see. How you doing? Welcome in. I know Czechs are overall incredibly open towards queerness, at least in my experience. Gree the writer, who sometimes is in the stream nowadays, but is more active in the Discord, talks about that quite a bit. And I think they said that like this year there's been like a sort of back and forth of like the government saying we don't like queers, but everybody in Czech being like, yep, it's fine, it's good. It's good, you know? Eurovision is cool. It is cool. It's cool because it's cringe. Slovenia this year sounded like J-Rock, and I really liked it. Yeah, I can't remember the Slovenia one, to be honest. Weren't Tattoo Russian, though? That was 2003. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, the anti-queer sentiment in Russia has only really sort of, like, started gathering. I mean, I'm not fucking Russian. Murphy could probably tell us about this. You know. But, like, I think the anti-queer sentiment in Russia just really started to ramp up over, like, the last 10, 15 years. Maybe a bit longer. Yeah, because you're from Russia, innit? We're talking about like how fascist is Russia towards queers and how long has it been that way? Do you know what I mean? Anyway.
Conflict within every country. While UK current commentator Graham Norton was happy about Conchita's win, even crying about it, his predecessor Terry Wogan called Conchita's performance a freak show. Here's Russia's 2021 entry praising trans icon Nikki Tutorials during a Eurovision interview.
You're sexiest woman I ever know. Really talented and very, very...
I'd say you're right. It's been very looked down upon and judged forever, but now that queer's more in the spotlight, it's full-blown outward hate. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Brave.
Well, that's
Russia gets a 6-year early access for fascist moral panics.
Start. Hello, welcome.
When Conchita's act was internally selected, it was a scandal. In Austria, there was a huge number of Austrians who didn't want to...
Sorka Sublime, thanks for the 13 months. Thanks for the Prime sub for 13 months. How you doing, Sorka?
...to be represented by a bearded drag queen, but... nobody interpreted that as Austria being an evil homophobic country. On the other hand, when Slovenia sent a drag act to Eurovision 12 years earlier, and some Slovenians protested that, their protests were discussed in the EU Parliament as proof that maybe Slovenia is too regressive to join the EU. When Russia introduced their anti-gay legislation in 2014, there were a number of Russian citizens and organizations who publicly protested it, including Russian Eurovision winner Dima Bilan. But that's not the fun narrative. We enjoy a good West versus East, a good democracy versus the evils of communism battle. And this goes back to the origins of Eurovision. The show was developed by an organization called the European Broadcasting Union, aka the EBU. Now, when the EBU was founded, there was an anxiety that Eastern Europe would dominate the broadcasting unions bringing together European TV stations. There's just too many of them, and that's way too many Eastern European votes.
Of course.
So the EBU was founded by Western countries such as the UK, France, Switzerland, and a distrust of the Eastern countries was officially baked into the fabric of the
God
EBU.
damn it.
Of course, Eurovision was created to bring Europe together, to unite us through the universal language of music.
Oh, congrats, Sorka. I'm glad to hear it.
This competition was created in 1956 to unify a continent torn apart by war.
But the first Eurovision was all Western Europe. Eastern Europe gradually joined over the centuries.
Yeah, it was to unite the continent. But none of those fucking commies, though. None of that commie scum, you know, giving people, you know, housing and medical care and, you know, shit like that for free. None of that.
Tension never really went away. During the Cold War, Eastern Europe wanted to create a joint contest, but the EBU was like, no, thank you. You should totally make
The gay question in Russia is a very divisive one. Unfortunately, some people are all for queers. Meanwhile, others would literally murder gay people on the streets if they could. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that what everybody's got to remember is that that's no different to the UK. There's literally people like that in the UK. You know what I mean? And definitely in the US. You know, any kind of like trying to make out that like Russia is this like, you know, big, evil, bad thing. It's like, it's the same. It's exactly the same as the UK. It's exactly the same as the US. It's literally the same. You know what I mean? And it's like any kind of, this is why it like frustrates me so much that like, you know, people are always going on about like, oh my God, Russia's like the worst country in the world. Oh my God. It's all like, we've had this with like the Ukraine stuff as well. And it's been like, you know, just people not having like a nuanced discussion about like the various politics that make up what's going on in Ukraine, what's going on in Russia. And like, you've got this like bizarre, like sort of like dichotomy of people who are like saying like, oh my God, everybody in Ukraine is a fascist. There are fascists everywhere. And it's like, well, that's also the case in Russia, right? It's exactly the same. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's the same in the UK and the US. Wow, shock horror. Any, like, white majority country, if they have an army, fascists are getting attracted to it. Jesus Christ. Wow. Crazy that would happen. You know, like, this is, like, basic stuff, gang. Do you know what I mean? And then, like, also people saying things about Russia, like, well, Russia is just a fascist, totalitarian state. And it's like, yeah, like the UK, like the US, you know? Absolutely insane. People in power over there tend to be a lot more openly homophobic. Here, at least, it's a little bit of a struggle. Oh, I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that. There's a lot of people in power in the US who are openly homophobic. Don't know if you've heard about this state called Florida, Murphy. But there's some shit going down right there. There's some shit going down right there. I mean, I have people saying they would kill me to my face in the UK. We are just Russia, but we did it to ourselves instead of the CIA. Yeah, it's true. It's true. I'm in Texas. You don't have to tell me. Which makes it even more surprising that you would say that in your previous comment. But you've got the experience of living in Russia and living in Texas. So, you know, far be it from me to tell you what's what. But, yeah. Yeah.
Own Eurovision though. Oh, how fun would that be? Eastern European Vision, yay! Rasputin! And they did. It was called Intervision, and unlike Eurovision, it opened its doors to all of Europe in 1968.
Oh, so listen, the commies know how to do it. Like this, it's so fucking funny. When you like hear about shit like this, it's like when all the things that you hear about, like, you know, Soviet Union and shit like that, and this, that, and the other, and you know, you go like, oh, well, obviously a lot of it was lies. There's definitely bad things that happen, but like the majority of the stuff that you hear about is all just like Western capitalist propaganda. And it's like, all right, so like in Eastern Europe in 1968, they were like, yeah, everybody can join. Literally everyone can join if you want, but no one did. You know what I mean? Because it's too communist or whatever, I guess.
And that truly brought together Eastern, Western, and non-aligned countries wasn't Eurovision. It was Intervision. Intervision didn't actually last very long, but it was a thing.
It is a better name.
Finally changed after the fall of the Berlin Wall. Suddenly the vibe was all about uniting Europe, with a song with the chorus "Unite, Unite Europe" actually winning in 1990. Unite, unite Europe. So finally, Eastern European countries were in, which was so great until Eastern Europe won the contest a few times, and that just made Western Europe really uncomfortable.
So
the animosity towards Eastern Europe goes way back, as far as the Enlightenment, when Western Europe developed an image of itself as uniquely civilized and special. Eastern Europe, as a backwards, barbaric neighbour, was conceptualized in contrast. Eastern Europe was a scary place of poverty and superstition and rude, savage people, while Western Europe was a shining beacon of civilization and development. So Eurovision actually gave Eastern European countries an opportunity to prove to the West that they were just alike, just as modern and cultured, that we were all the same. When Ukraine last hosted while stalling for a performer who'd just run off, one of the hosts accidentally admitted to this directly.
We're tolerant, modern, and very open country.
And you could see in their hosting how they tried to convey the modernity of their Eurovision. When Serbia hosted in 2008 after Maria's win, the organisers said Eurovision would help change the stereotypical image of Serbia, and they used Eurovision to prove to the West, as CNN put it, that Serbia was a normal European nation.
God damn it.
So branding is definitely a big part of what it means to host Eurovision, and sometimes that branding can be used to cover up the less
same gobs, yeah, same.
Of a country's reputation. The 2012 Eurovision was hosted by Azerbaijan, notorious for its poor record when it comes to democracy and media freedom.
Yep,
international.
We were talking about this before.
Have suggested that Azerbaijan had not had
political right. Freedom House. This is like an NGO or something that does, ratings of countries being like free or whatever. Political rights, 2 out of 40. Civil liberties, 8 out of 60. Amazing. Should we have a look at the UK? Should we see if we can find the UK on this now? Let's have a look at this, chat. What is this? Freedom House. Right. Freedom House. Expanding freedom and democracy. Explore the map. So here we go. Very interesting, this map. This is very fucking interesting. Okay, I don't know how good it is. Yeah, chat. Everybody in this chat is gonna like scoff at this as soon as they see it. Yeah. Well, Tar, I think you you hit the nail on the head there. Very funny. It's very funny, isn't it? That this is what it looks like. I don't know about you, chat, but this kind of looks like a map that I've seen before. This looks like a map that I've seen before. Just slightly different. It's just slightly different, isn't it? It's just very, very slight. It's like that, but slightly different. You know? Yeah, so we can't really judge this. Let's see what it's saying about the United Kingdom. 93 out of 100 political rights, 39 out of 40. Civil liberties, 54 out of 60. This is either woefully out of, it's not been updated in a long time, or it's just fucking lies. Who runs this Freedom House? What is this? Oh, hello. Address 1850 M Street, Northwest Floor 11, Washington, D.C. Interesting. Is there any way, can we have a look at like news, perspectives, reports, events about careers, explore the map, donate? It'd be good to see if, is South Africa green on that map? Yes, it is. Yes, that's another thing. That's another thing to take a look at. Let's have a look there at South Africa. 79 out of 100. So maybe it's not out of date. Hey, Death and Lovely Italian, how you doing? Welcome in. Hey, Confero, good to see you. Israel is green? Oh, no. Oh, no. You have to be shitting me, dude. Oh, no. This is a joke. This is a joke, bro. This is a joke. 77 out of 100. You have to be kidding me. It's free. That means it's free. That means it's fucking free. The West Bank. So they don't even call the West Bank Palestine. They just call it the West Bank. Not free. No civil liberties there. Well, I wonder whose fault that is. Wouldn't be the massive country surrounding it, would it? What about Gaza? The Gaza Strip? They just won't call it Palestine. Okay, this map sucks. This fucking sucks. Okay, we're moving on. Certified victims of communism museum moment. Yeah. You know it's free because you can be vegan in the IDF. That's right. Hi, it's me, Crystal. How you doing? Welcome in. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
A free and fair election in 3 decades. They won the previous year with a song which sounds uncomfortably like...
I could also take a map and colour it however I want.
And Azerbaijan already had a bad track record when it came to Eurovision. A few years earlier, due to a territorial dispute with Armenia, authorities had interrogated anyone in Azerbaijan who voted for Armenia's Eurovision song, saying it was a matter of national security. What are you, some kind of move your body sympathizer?
Always doing that, aren't they? Always doing that.
Eurovision of all time. Azerbaijan bulldozed housing with people literally still inside the buildings to make way for their new Eurovision arena. And then, of course,
Christ.
They basically turned their Eurovision into a tourist campaign. Eurovision has an enormous potential to increase tourism in the region. Some countries will take the opportunity of hosting to basically turn the whole of Eurovision
Apolitical, by the way.
tourism.
By the way, Eurovision, not political. Just absolutely not political in the slightest.
They even get funding from tourism boards or governments. So becoming aware of the human rights issues, the Swedish contestant that year, Loren, met with human rights activists in Azerbaijan, but when she was asked about it during a press conference, the organisers cut her off, suggesting such questions were inappropriate.
Inappropriate
There were
question.
peaceful protests before Eurovision, but the
Not
authorities
political.
broke them up, allegedly at one protest also assaulting the protesters. But in the end, the branding worked. Eurovision helped to improve Azerbaijan's international image, even amongst those who didn't watch it, just based on media coverage. It was all pretty disturbing. Luckily, Azerbaijan did not win again that year. Interestingly, Loren did, meaning the next Eurovision would be hosted in Sweden.
Is that how you say it? Loren, not Loreen. Laureen, it's Loren.
And Sweden went all out to portray themselves as basically the opposite of Azerbaijan.
That's fucking insane, dude. Like, this was the thing that I was saying to my partner. My partner, listen, if you're watching, Lena, I love you. It's not your fault. It was fun. It was fun to hang out with the queers and watch Eurovision. But, like, I was saying this to my partner. It was literally like, do you want to watch Eurovision with us? And I was like, not really. Like, do I want to watch White Vision? Do I want to watch, like, you know what I mean? It's all stuff like this, isn't it? It's all stuff that's like, oh, well, we can have, we can have like white countries and white people doing it, but like none of that African countries, none of those South Asian countries, none of that. Do you know what I mean? Like, Intervision sounded like it was going to be like the one, you know what I mean, for the future. Like, everybody in the world could compete. Imagine how good that would be, right? Actually just think about that. Imagine if everybody in the world could compete for like Intervision. And you could have all these African nations, you could have all these like Asian nations and like everything like that, like South America, all this difference. That'd be really, really cool. That'd be so much better than this, wouldn't it? It'd be just amazing,
They were fun and progressive, and they made a big deal about how they recycle and they love immigrants and they have gender equality and love LGBT people.
The Swedes are extremely independent and yet at the same time extremely tolerant.
But while definitely better than Azerbaijan in many ways, branding can still be misleading. Sweden doesn't recycle any more than, for example, the UK does. They just burn huge amounts of trash, including plastic, which is a whole new problem in and of itself.
Yep.
They are also not an immigrant utopia. Literally a day after the Swedish Eurovision final, there were riots due to the economic inequality and social exclusion of immigrants.
So I did a stream with Babbling Goat, who is an awesome streamer that you should go and watch. He's a trans king, lovely queer guy, and he knows loads of stuff about Sweden. And yeah, he was telling me loads of stuff about like in Stockholm there's like a concentration of like, progressive people, all this kind of stuff, but then the most of Sweden is just like garbage, like absolute garbage, like, just Nazis fucking everywhere, just horrific. Like, just some of the views that people have is just so bad. And there was like a gang, there's sort of like a gang of like heavy metal, black metal bikers who are like Nazis as well or something like that, and I can't remember the name. But yeah, they were like literally like, I don't know, like beating up queers or something like that. I can't remember what he said, but it was just like real bad stuff.
And at the time they hosted, Sweden was actually sterilizing transgender people, not allowing them to transition unless they agreed to be sterilized.
Yep.
Sweden also neglected to mention that the telecommunications company, which allegedly spied on the people of Azerbaijan, like those who voted for Armenia in Eurovision, was owned by the Swedish government, and that company was also the main sponsor of the Swedish Eurovision. But none of that is what we remember when we look back on Eurovision 2013. We remember the great progressive Swedish Eurovision following Azerbaijan, with Pietra performing a pretend gay marriage on stage and pushing around recycle bins. We don't remember Sweden. We remember the Eurovision branding of Sweden.
Yeah.
Now, of course, it's great when countries are dedicated to upholding LGBT rights, but that's different from turning it into branding, which is when it becomes a problem, like with Sweden, which has a history of turning its progressivism into a patriotic trait, into a symbol of what makes them exceptional and superior. This sort of branding is called homo-nationalism. And homo-nationalism can be used as a justification for all kinds of things. Maybe the government wants to keep immigrants out of their country. So suddenly the narrative becomes, well, those Eastern Europeans or those Middle Easterners, they're awfully homophobic now, don't you think? We should really try to keep them out of our country. Our just a noble government needs to protect the poor vulnerable gays, so maybe there's a good reason to increase police and military power, so, you know, the gays can still enjoy Grindr and her. I'm just kidding, no one's enjoying her. So while Eurovision is telling us this...
We're not just smorgasbord and social democrats. We also love a catchy tune.
The third biggest party in the Swedish parliament was an Islamophobic far-right party with Nazi roots, one of whose members was, at the time, organising pride parades in immigrant neighbourhoods to portray immigrants as inherently homophobic and thus fundamentally a threat to white, civilised, gay-loving Sweden.
Absolutely
So this
insane.
was literally the far-right using homo-nationalism to demonize immigrants. Homo-nationalism is so ingrained in global politics that we're currently seeing Ukrainians having to appeal to it in order to secure Western sympathy and support.
Україна вільна, сучасна, хоробра демократична країна, де визнають права.
Homo-nationalism sees the West as evolved, and any homophobia is just an individual problem, not a systemic one. But those other people in the East, on the other hand, they're not...
Her fucking sucks. Horrendously designed app. It really is. It pushes the premium subscription so hard. I wonder if anyone who is saying this about her has ever been on any other dating apps. Because what that is there, what you're all saying, the lesbians in the chat, yeah, the sapphics in the chat, you could say that about literally every other app. I'm telling you right now, I'm on like all of them. I'm on Field, I'm on Bumble, I'm on fucking Tinder. I got banned off Hinge because I told a queer Tory to shut the fuck up. Yeah, it's dating apps. It's dating apps. They're all shit. They're all shit. They're all shit. They're all shit. Fuck it off. Tinder does harass you constantly. Tinder's like, hey, you got more likes, by the way. Did you know? And it's like, it comes up as like a thingy, innit? It comes up to be like a, you know, I can't remember what it is. Like a little notification. It goes like, boop, like that. And then you'll click on it and it's like, there's no notification to be found. But then you find you can swipe again. So you're just swiping again. You know what I mean? Which, to be fair, Russia is trying to find evidence of Ukrainian LGBT groups being a left-behind operation. Wait, what? What do you mean? What are you talking about? They're all shit, but her is shit and also poorly designed. At least Tinder works. Works for what? On a technical level. Listen, I've been on Tinder once and my phone got so hot I thought it was gonna explode. I don't think that's accurate. It's not accurate. Her might be like a bit worse than that. Maybe hers on like the level of Field. If anyone's been on Field. Like Field is like badly designed and doesn't work. Like Field will come up and say I've got like 3 notifications and I'm just talking to one person. It'll be like one person sending one message and it's like 3. You know? If they were good dating apps, you wouldn't use them because you'd find someone and fuck off. Right, exactly, yeah.
Not individuals with different perspectives. Their homophobia is inherent.
Well, unless you're polyamorous, you know?
To their culture, and therefore systemic. They're forever stuck in the past, where the West is sort of, well, done already. We finished feminism. We actually fixed homophobia ages ago, so yeah. And that's kind of what you get from Sweden's Eurovision, a very depoliticized homo-nationalist gayness, a defanged gayness, which isn't going to contradict the message of how great and friendly their military is. When Sweden hosted in 2016, the original rules said that rainbow flags would only be tolerated in the audience as long as they were apolitical. So anyway...
What?
Israel's 2019 Eurovision prominently featured drag queens, a gay host talking about his husband and Grindr, opening with a performance from trans winner Donna International. Israel definitely leaned heavily into gay branding. And this was
because otherwise you'd learn about all the genocide.
Because Israel really had something to prove. Their branding was in response to accusations that Israel is a settler colonial state on Palestinian land, that Israel is apartheid, treating Palestinians as second-class people, reminiscent of South African apartheid. Palestinians were effectively erased from Israel's Eurovision. The Palestinian flag was banned, and Palestinians kind of were too. Palestinians from the blockaded West Bank and Gaza, including queer Palestinians, are effectively banned from attending Eurovision. Activists who support Palestinians have also been told they will not be allowed into the country.
Imagine that, chat. Imagine that. If you wanted to go, even if you were like, I love Eurovision so much, even though I'm a Palestinian rights activist, I will go to Israel to watch Eurovision. Fine, I'll do it. I'll give Israel a bit of money. I'm going to stay in a really cheap hotel, though. I'm going to like maybe camp a couple of nights and just like not, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm just going to not like give it as much, like really, really like scrunge out and all that shit. Do you know what I mean? And you went there and you got there and they were like, we've had a look at your social media actually. And you're not allowed in. The answer is no, because you think Palestinians should have rights, actually. Why didn't they just allow Palestinian flags as long as they weren't political? Yes, a great point. A great point.
So, for example, former Swedish Eurovision contestant Erik Saade, who is half Palestinian, may have himself had trouble getting into the country via the airport because Palestinians and people of Palestinian origin are subject to extended, sometimes hostile questioning and often just refused entry into the country and sent back. When Saade delivered the jury votes from Sweden that year, he made an ambiguous remark about not being able to be in Israel this year.
Thank you for a great show. I really wish I was there, but I'm not. Maybe next year.
Maybe. So Israel's branding needed to be clear. Israel is not colonial. It's not like South Africa was. It is a normal European nation, as CNN might put it. And one great...
Oh no, isn't that like, hold up a second.
Africa was, it is a normal European nation, as
Isn't that little like Scouts uniform, isn't that like the precursor to like being in the IDF or something? Isn't that what that is? Hey Telefo, how you doing? Welcome in. Well, why are Israel in the Eurovision Song Contest? It's a good question. I probably can't enter Israel, given what I've said on Twitter. Probably everyone in this chat as well. Yep, that's right. That's right.
CNN might put it. And one great way to do that...
They do have like the Scouts, don't they? They do have like Israeli Scouts. What are Scouts in Israel? Are they just called like the Scouts, or is it like established in 1919? The Sofim Hebrew Scouts movement was the first Zionist youth movement in Israel. Remains today the largest national youth movement. They just have no like self-awareness, do they? National youth movement. You just need one more word in there. You just need one more word in there to be very, very similar. Israel Boy and Girl Scouts Federation. Yeah, the national youth movement. Hang on. I think it's called all kinds of other stuff. National youth movement. I'm just Googling this because I'm not sure if I'm right. Zionist Youth Movement. Zionist Youth Movement is an organization formed for Jewish children and adolescents for educational, social, ideological development, including a belief in Jewish nationalism. Oh no. As represented in the state of Israel. Modern youth leaders in modern youth movements use informal education approaches, I'm not surprised, to educate towards the movement's ideological goals. Most Zionist youth movements were established in Eastern Europe in the early 20th century, desiring the national revival of the Jewish people in their own homeland, and formed an active, integral part of the Zionist movement. So it's all connected, isn't it? So that full circle right there, huh? Good God. The Hebrew Scouts uniform. I mean, it looks like a Scouts uniform. That much is true. They don't have the, what do they call it? There's like a little thing, the toggle or something on the neckerchief, but it's there. They got the three fingers up. That's like a scout thing. Zionist youth movements boosted Israel. The diaspora continues to play a large role in community organization, Jewish education, welfare, politics, and activism, while upholding and adjusting their individual movement ideologies. Diaspora movements commonly idealize Jewish continuity and identity in opposition to cultural assimilation and Zionism in the way of active community involvement while living in Israel, termed by some as Aliyah Nimshechet, or continuing ascent, with importance placed on leadership skills and personal development. In some countries, resistance in response to anti-Semitism is also a significant political focus. So this is not just in Israel. This is like Jewish youth movements all over the world, so this isn't relevant. Service year. Oh, in Israel, it's common for active movement participants to commit to a year of movement leadership between completing high school and conscription into the Israel Defense Forces. Yeah, okay, we know what that's about. Pretty obvious. You know. Willada, hello. Does Israel have non-political scouts movement? As I know jack shit about Israel, nor about the history of USA Boy Scouts. I think they probably do. But it's less likely. Isn't that the Hunger Games revolutionary hand sign? No. Maybe it is, but it won't be from the Hunger Games. It'll be from the Scouts. Anyway, just wanted to look at that. Chat, is this Madonna on screen? Who is this?
Is homonationalism to brand the country as a gay haven, civilized, modern. And Grindr jokes are actually quite good for that, to be honest. And this isn't just a Eurovision tactic. Israel has an official campaign called Brand Israel, which has invested $90 million into specifically marketing Israel as a gay tourist destination.
Chad, do you ever get those fucking adverts on YouTube? I get them every fucking day, and it pisses me the fuck off. And it's this like... It's like a guy and a girl, and they're literally like, they're like, Jerusalem's just the same as every other country in the world, unless that country is 1,000 years old and is home to 3 major religions, one of which we don't really like. They don't say that bit though, but you know that's what they mean, don't you? Hi Swampy Sid, how you doing? Hello Rebel Firestorm. I bet the Boy Scouts would be really mad to learn I was a girl all along. Yes. You cheated. You cheated the game, didn't you, Rebel Firestorm? Good for you. The USA Boy Scouts were starting to get boys ready for war. Yeah. Same in the UK. In the UK, the Scouts were literally, it was Robert, is it Robert Powell or Enoch Powell or something like that? It's like a guy that was like a super racist apartheid, whatever it is. Robert Baden Powell. That's right, Trash Goyle. Yeah, that's right. Sock says I was too autistic for Scouts. Yeah, I was definitely too ADHD. I was in Scouts for like a bit, and then I was like, this is boring. I don't like this. Baden Powell. Is it not like... He's got another name. He's got a first name. It's not just Baden Powell. Is it? No, it's Robert Baden Powell. Yeah, it's Robert Baden Powell. Humongous nonce. Yeah, definitely. No, it's not Enoch Powell. It's not Enoch Powell. It's not Enoch Powell. Yeah, he was a different racist. He was a different racist.
depicting it as modern and progressive in contrast with its Middle Eastern neighbours. Don't look at Erik Saade being unable to enter Israel to come to Eurovision because of his ethnic background. Please watch these fun drag queens and relax and have a good time. In response to all this, that year's Icelandic act, Hatari, snuck in Palestinian flags.
Yeah! Hatari! Let's go!
A dancer wearing an Israeli flag and a dancer wearing a Palestinian flag, embracing as a symbol of peace.
Oh, that's so based. I did not even know that they did that. I did not even know these people did this.
This was not welcomed by the organisers, and Hatari were actually fined €5,000.
Oh, come on. Just don't pay it, dude. Don't pay that shit. What are you going to do, Israel? You're going to extradite me for war crimes against Israel for holding a flag?
For just holding up flags, and Madonna was apparently scolded for her performance. Because Eurovision is meant to be apolitical, right?
Iceland is so good.
Well, in theory, any sort of politicization or instrumentalization of Eurovision is banned, but in practice, the EBU seems to distinguish between two different kinds of politics at Eurovision, one of which is acceptable and the other is not. State politics are unacceptable. For example, in 2009, the EBU rejected Georgia's entry for being a barely concealed dig at Russia's President Putin. But on the other hand, values politics...
We don't want to put in... It's the side position anthem.
I just fine and dandy.
No penetration.
Peace and love and freedom. They're just about values.
Peace, peace, love, love, and a man in a hamster wheel.
Humanitarian message.
Whoa. What? What the fuck? What did you... Is this real? Is this a real song?
Everyone loves a vague song about peace and love and freedom. They're just about values.
Peace, peace, love, love, and a man in a hamster wheel.
What? That can't be real, dude. Who is that? Which country is this?
Peace, peace, love, love, and a man in a hamster wheel.
What is this? Why? Why? Oh my God. Jesus Christ. The three most fundamental human values. Oh my gosh. Hey Felix Ratstar, how you doing? They were doing their own parody, wink wink. Hey Rohamild, how you doing? The topless guy's thrusting at the drums as well, I know. Really good. Very typically Eurovision, yeah. Obviously. Video Pheasant is in the chat getting really mad. And I was gonna just ignore them for the whole stream because they're getting so mad because they think I like hate Eurovision. But I actually don't. I don't hate Eurovision. I don't fucking love it, though. Like, you know, Video Pheasant is in the chat like, Mule, just admit that you fucking love Eurovision. I don't love it, and I'm not going to admit that. But I don't actually think it's cringe. When I say it's cringe, I mean cringe in the good way, you know? We have this song, but it needs something. Jeff, the hamster wheel guy, I have just what you need. I'm just so fucking confused about this. It's a fever dream, isn't it? It's a fever dream. Thank you for the follow, by the way. That follow was Video Pheasant after unfollowing me when they saw the stream title and then refollowing again. That's what that follow was. So thanks for refollowing Video Pheasant. Really appreciate that. Thanks for remaining part of the community.
Humanitarian messages are also allowed, such as the French song Mercy, which was about a real baby girl born on a refugee rescue boat after her pregnant mum was saved from a dangerous dinghy.
Damn.
So, if peaceful humanitarian messages are considered values politics and therefore allowed, you would think that peace with Palestine would count as a basic humanitarian message, right?
Israel and the Eurovision Song Contest have proven once more that prejudice, hate, racism, sexism, exclusion do not stand a chance.
But in reality, any reference to Palestine or Palestinians seems to have been banned from the competition, messages of peace included. Surely that banning in and of itself would count as state politics.
Yep, it's true.
Politics,
you see, this is the problem with like any kind of person who says no politics, right? No politics. Yeah? No. No politics allowed in my video game. No politics allowed in my TV show, my movie, my Twitch stream, my YouTube video, whatever the fuck it is, my music video, my music, my art. Like, there's always going to be a hypocrisy there. Like, 1,000%. Because we're all influenced by politics in some way. In some way. Like, it's impossible to, like, make a statement, like an artistic statement, whether that's, like, musical, visually, or whatever, like, you know, it's or even in the written word that isn't, like, at least, you know, inspired by some kind of politics. If there was something that was truly apolitical out there, it would be the most boring shit in the entire world, because it would be nothing. It would be actually nothing. You know what I mean? No politics in Star Wars. It's true. It's true. Yeah, no politics just means no politics that I don't like. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's what it is.
Are not allowed, right? During Israel's postcard Scrooge song,
it's impossible to be a man in a hamster wheel.
Twitch.
Man in a hamster wheel, thank you so much for £5. Thank you for supporting the stream. Thank you for subbing off Twitch. Thank you so much for being a man in a hamster wheel. Chat, this stream is my full-time job. I do this all the time. If you've enjoyed yourself here, if you've learned something, if you support me and you just want to see me succeed, please consider subbing off Twitch. The link is in the chat right now. Oh, hold up. Oh, wait. There it is. Sub off Twitch. It means that 100% of the money that you spend on the stream will directly go towards me. That will go towards my bills, my rent, my food, literally everything. And also a lot of the activism that I do, because the majority of it is unpaid. So please consider subbing off Twitch. Please consider supporting the stream like that. If you're not financially capable of doing so, don't worry about it. It's all good. You could just retweet the Go Live tweet, which I think should give a... Oh, actually, no, that's the wrong tweet. Don't retweet that one. Do not retweet that one. Please do not retweet that one. In fact, don't even retweet the fucking other one, because I'm not even talking about any of that. Yeah, just don't worry about it. Just, I don't know. Do something else. Do something else. Follow me on YouTube or something. I don't know. Yeah, just for the time being. But yeah, please consider doing that. If we get to £450, that means that we will unlock movie night for this month. We already do have... We do have double movie night from last month unlocked, and that's going to be this Saturday. So we're going to be watching Tetsuo the Iron Man and another film that I have not.
The man in a hamster wheel is not real. The man in a hamster wheel cannot hurt you.
They will tell you this. They will tell you this. Adorable, thank you so much for the £10. Thank you so much for subbing off Twitch. Thank you so much for supporting the stream. Really, really, really appreciate that. Yeah, Tetsuo is great. I love it. I love it so much. You know, I need to reward chat after the last 3 months. The first 3 months of the year were literally just us watching Neil Breen films. And what was the other one? What was the other one? I can't remember. We've been watching... Oh, Never Ending Story. The gradually getting worse Never Ending Story films. So there you go. This dungeon sub boss says it's okay. I don't have a Twitter anymore. I am free. Thank you so much for being here and not being on Twitter. I really appreciate that. I think I had Tetsuo on DVD as a kid. It was live action with giant CGI robots. No, that's a different film. That's a very different film. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, and if we get to £900 before the end of the month, that means I'll be doing a DJ stream next month, dressed as a gnome. So you've got that to look forward to. But yeah, there you go. I've done the spiel. That's it. Won't mention it again for another hour at least. Let's carry on with the video.
Illegally occupied land, which, under international law, is not recognized as being part of Israel. The United Nations has suggested that Israeli settlements in occupied territories should be considered a war crime. So the show was literally using the tourism branding of Eurovision to tell the world, hey, this land belongs to us. Please, gays, come spend your holiday money here. We have Grindr.
A certain app that is on fire right now because of all the handsome tourists in Tel Aviv.
In fact, when Israel won the previous year, there had been hopes to host Eurovision in Jerusalem.
Next time in Jerusalem!
Except Jerusalem is a contested city, also claimed by Palestine.
Yeah.
To host in Jerusalem would have been a bold political move. So I guess they just settled for bold political postcards instead. Which makes sense, because those postcards serve as tourism ads for Israel. And Israel was already listing Airbnb and other tourist services in their illegally occupied territories. The year following Israel's Eurovision saw a huge tourism boom, as you'd expect after a country hosts Eurovision. So given that Israel instrumentalized Eurovision as propaganda and a tourist ad for illegally occupied territories, why were Hatari and Madonna the ones to get in trouble with the EBU? Did Madonna really say much more than peace, peace, love, love? Which one of these is state politics here, and which one is values politics? The DVD version of Eurovision 2019 excludes Madonna entirely and also cuts out the clip of Hatari with the Palestinian flag, but keeps in all the postcards.
Love a bit of censorship.
Effectively endorsing Israel's political message and completely erasing Palestine from Eurovision. Was this really the apolitical way to deal with the issue of Israel?
It's just insane, isn't it? That it's like a Middle Eastern country and it's just full of white people. It's just full of fucking white people. It's just absolutely crawling with whites.
On Palestine.
I know that a lot of these in the like the postcard thing are like the artists from other countries and stuff, but like, yeah.
But this isn't the first time Eurovision's policy has seemed contradictory. We told you about the Mercy refugee song, which was allowed, and Sweden in 2016 actually had an interval performance about refugees trying to draw attention to their struggles. But the following year, when soon to be...
There is one stream where I accept they have some kind of no politics rule while they can't maintain it. Being in Bolivia and some kind of leftist, while having a very USA and Europe audience, I get it, she gets sick of not being able to play instead of saying the same thing over and over again. Wait, I don't understand. What do you mean? Can you elaborate?
Winner Salvador Sobral wore an SOS Refugees jumper to a press conference. The EBU asked him to stop wearing it because they saw it as political.
Make no mistake, these people are not immigrants, you know? They're refugees running away from death.
So which is it? Is caring about refugees values politics and allowed, or is it state politics and forbidden? Maybe Sobral was just too open about how governments can be at fault for how refugees are treated. But then why is gay marriage always allowed at Eurovision going back to 2008? Siegfried in 2013 said specifically her performance was about legalizing same-sex marriage in Finland, which is clearly state politics and much more tangible than anything Sobral said. So what are the politics of Eurovision? It clearly has a political agenda. Maybe that agenda is simply to unite Europe. That's what it was created for after all. Right?
This competition was created in 1956 to unify a continent.
What if values and state politics overlap? I know.
Exactly.
That's the most annoying thing about all of this, right? It's that like trying to like separate types of politics. It's just like, you know, politics is, you know, the human condition, right? The systems that we are ruled under, and how we all think that they should be. And how can any of that not intrude into your personal and private life unless you're like extremely rich, in which case you don't have to worry about it. You know what I mean? Sucks how the no politics rule censors people whose existence is seen as politics. Yeah. Well, there's people who have been politicized just because of who they are, right? Exactly.
I mean, not at all, actually. In fact, we've been lying to you, but only because Eurovision did it first. The EBU comes from a long legacy of unions managing European telegraph and radio connections. They are a pragmatic, technical...
All human thought past the age of 3 is to some extent political. I would argue all human thought is political, because even before age 3, you need food, right? That's political. Where'd you get your food from? Who decides when you get to eat? That's political. Of course it is. Food liberation is like key. Like it's the fundamental thing in our existence that we like always forget about. Like food, we need that to live. So who decides who gets that and who doesn't? So even the second that you're born, everything that you're thinking about is political.
organization. And in the 1950s,
I need food. Why isn't it being given to
with
me?
Content for this new
Why is someone keeping food
technology,
from me?
which was taking off across Europe. So they came up with this idea for a European Song Contest, a quick, cheap and easy broadcast, an hour and 20 minutes. They didn't even plan on doing a second one. It would be in the same vein as like the Football Cup, a cool exercise in this newfangled concept of international
that's right, Prince,
broadcasting. After all, it's cheaper to create one TV program and show it in a bunch of different countries than it is to create a bunch of TV programs all over the place. So this seemed perfect. The truth is, there was no romantic vision of bringing Europe together through the power of music after Europe was torn apart by war. It was just a cheap and easy way to make a TV show. And the project actually had to remain apolitical because that's the most efficient way to get shit done. They would never meddle with governments or the EU because that would only hold them back, overly complicate things. But they also understood the power of television, that it can be a deadly weapon of propaganda and controlled information. And the EBU wanted to avoid all of that in their little song competition. But easier said than done. Countries understood immediately that Eurovision was a great way to brand themselves. From Germany sending a Holocaust survivor and an American to the very first contest in 1956, to Franco's Spain in the following 2 decades, using Eurovision to gloss over its fascist dictatorship and promote its tourism. Countries have always known how to use Eurovision to send political messages. And the EBU has always positioned itself as apolitical, and later reinforced that with rules keeping Eurovision songs and artists in check. But being the arbiter of what counts as political is, in itself, a political act. To decide Siegfried's Gay Marriage Act is apolitical is a political choice. To decide that gay rights are apolitical is political.
That's right.
To allow Israel's branding to include illegally occupied territories is political. But what do you do when, for example, a European country invades another European country? We've established before that invading other countries outside of Europe is fine. The UK faced no consequences for invading Iraq in 2003.
True.
Israel has faced no consequences, regardless of whether they've committed illegal acts or war crimes. So what about Russia after the invasion of Ukraine? They got kicked out, right? Well, no, not to begin with. After the Russian invasion began, Ukraine asked for Russia to be expelled from both the EBU and Eurovision, and the EBU said no. Russia would...
Too political. You gotta let Russia stay. That's crazy that they did that, man. That's crazy that they did that.
Be allowed to stay. So...
I mean, it makes sense because of, like, the fact that, you know, they let Israel be part of the Eurovision Song Contest, right? And Azerbaijan and all these other countries are, you know, the UK for like bombing Syria and Yemen and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Like every single country that like does a war is whatever, but then like, you know, let's find out why they were eventually expelled.
Was Russia eventually expelled? Well, because in the end, 10 other countries complained and some even threatened to withdraw from Eurovision if Russia was allowed to compete.
They should just do that for Israel, man. Like, come on, man. It knocks me fucking sick, yeah? Like, listen, I agree. I really hope that it's not getting like, what I'm saying here isn't getting messed up in some kind of anti-Ukraine sentiment, because that's not what I'm talking about here. It's like, it's just really fucking stressful that there are like people willing to do activism for like a white country, as long as it's a white country that's getting like attacked and, you know, people are dying in it and stuff like that. That's when we do the activism. If it's a country that brown people live in where there's genocide happening, no one cares. No one fucking cares, you know?
And suddenly, the EBU changed their mind and said, in light of the unprecedented crisis in Ukraine, the inclusion of a Russian entry in this year's contest would bring the competition into disrepute. That's what it really comes down to. Disrepute. They're not uniting Europe, they're making a TV program, and they want the TV program to avoid disrepute. Eurovision has always had a sizable gay fandom, and especially now when gay rights are so widely acceptable, perhaps it would bring Eurovision into disrepute to turn down a gay performance like Siegfried's. Though apparently that wasn't a concern back in 2003 when these topics were more controversial. The issues with Israel aren't a real problem because very few people in Europe care about them.
That's true, Ashrand. Yeah, Eastern Europeans being considered white is fairly new. Yeah, very true.
Boycotting Israel's Eurovision in 2019 fell pretty flat, barely putting a dent in the viewing figures. But when Russia invaded Ukraine and 11 countries were all complaining and some were threatening to leave Eurovision, that was enough to put the show in danger of disrepute, and force the EBU to respond. So no, Eurovision was not created to bring Europe together, and even today, that's not really the function. It's just cute branding. Eurovision is just a TV program trying to put on a good show. Well,
like I had people mad at me. I had people fucking mad at me when I was saying, not like straight up, like the first week of the invasion or whatever. It was like a couple of months down the line or something, and I was literally like, you know, it's really shit this that everyone's like, oh my god, Ukraine. Everybody save Ukraine, etc., etc., etc. But no one's saying it about Somalia, Yemen, you know, Palestine, all this stuff. Like, you know, there's plenty of leftists who are talking about Palestine. But again, like, you know, just like wars in, like, you know, countries where people are black or, you know, brown. It's just like, you know, and people were fucking mad that I said that. I'll never forget that, you know. I'll never fucking forget that.
Desperately trying to avoid any kind of political controversy. And avoiding controversy isn't necessarily about doing the apolitical thing. So Eurovision tends to be characterized by a hell of a lot of politics, both behind the scenes and on stage, while the EBU stands in front saying, nothing to see here, folks. This is just a normal song competition. Everything's fine. Please don't look at them doing this. There are so many great things about Eurovision. I love being exposed to cultures that otherwise don't have a chance to compete with the American and Western music dominating the global charts. For 1 week a year, music from Moldova and Latvia has the same platform as music from the UK. And
yeah, that shit fucks.
It's so incredible to get to hear songs in languages like North Sami and Sranantong, or such small languages which I'd never had the opportunity to hear before. And it's so fun to look back on all these historical milestones in Eurovision. The first openly gay artist, the first drag act, the first woman wearing trousers at Eurovision, because yeah, that was a thing back then.
Good for her.
There's a reason Eurovision is one of Europe's most popular TV events. Unlike other international mega events like the Olympics, Eurovision is a democracy, allowing the European audience to have a voice and shape the outcome each year. Eurovision has launched global stars and given us iconic songs. Its peculiar format has even helped create a whole new music genre, Europop. Eurovision shows us a Europe that does right by its minorities, be it ethnic or LGBT, a Europe that has atoned for its past, where all countries have an equal chance, regardless of their size, or history, or EU membership. Eurovision shows us a very authentic European culture, which is fun and goofy and communicated in a mishmash of broken English and local languages. This is the cosmopolitan, progressive and peace-loving Europe that we know and love, where the villains are booed and the heroes win. But it's not real. This perfect Europe that exists in Eurovision is an ideal, a utopia, a flattering image of how Europe wants to see itself.
True.
Not how it really is.
Very fucking
and unless
true.
we're aware of its artificial nature, those dreams of an equal, peaceful Europe can be exploited to cover up reality, and minorities can be turned into a symbol and a tool instead of actually being uplifted. We create the illusion that the problem is other countries, other peoples, other ethnicities, different backgrounds. But if we really want a better world, then, as the Slovenians say, we gotta sweep our own doorsteps first. There's so much more to say about.
It's very, very, very true. Thank you so much for suggesting this, Awesomeo. That was really cool. Check out The Queer Politics of Eurovision. We just watched that. Watch it again at your leisure. Sub. I'm going to subscribe to Verily Bitchy. I didn't even know who this person was, but there you go. 216,000 subscribers. I'm now one of them. Liking the video. Give him a like, give him a sub, give him a comment. Very cool video. Very, very, very cool video. Now the question is, what am I going to do next? All countries have an equal chance, and 5 countries have a slightly higher chance because they're rich. And we aren't going to ask if this looks like the problems with capitalism. Yeah, that's right. Have you seen Thought Slime's latest video? Really liked it? I've not, you know. What's Mildo up to? What's Mildo up to? Michael Knowles. I don't know who Michael.
Months ago,
I don't know who Michael Knowles is. Let's learn. Let's learn about Michael Knowles. Let's do it, chat. What do we got here? Thought slime on Michael Knowles. Oh, this guy, the trans genocide guy. Oh. Yeah. I know who he is. I know who he is. You got that cola? Welcome back, Stalker. Looking at the problems in Eurovision would require to look at the problems of racism in the LGBT plus community, and we can't have that. Funnily enough, Willada, I said something similar earlier. Your beard is looking really soft, by the way. Thanks. It's a bit overgrown at the minute, and I can't really... Do you know what I mean? I can't really justify taking it for a trim. Having to tighten my belt a little bit at the minute. Let's take a little look here. What do we got? Why is Israel even in that contest? Well, I think we know now. I think we know, don't we? It's to sanitize their image as, you know, even though they're a genocidal apartheid state, they are literally like... No, Israel is not in Europe. It's not in Europe. Australia's also in the competition as well, and Azerbaijan, that's in the Middle East, etc., etc. It doesn't make sense. It literally doesn't make sense at all. Manufacturing some consent in it, right? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Let me just change the title. So this video is going to have transphobia in it, like extreme transphobia. Just so everyone's aware. I'm sorry if that's not your bag. If you want to sit out from that, that's cool. I get that. You know. But just be aware. I thought the reason was they just paid enough. Yeah, probably, yeah. Yeah, probably. There probably isn't some, like, conspiracy to, like, sanitize Israel's image or whatever amongst the EBU or, like, whoever runs Eurovision, but, like, I wouldn't be surprised if people were biased. I wouldn't be surprised at all. Okay, big letters all across the screen. Michael Knowles is a cunt. So everybody knows what my opinion is. There you go. Chat, I'm also gonna go ahead and go to the toilet real quick. Make sure you do the same yourself. Stretch your legs, take your meds, all that stuff. If you've not already, if you've forgotten, you be nice to yourself. You look after yourself. I'll be back in a tick. I'm back. I'm back. Chat, it's done it again. Field, literally, we were just talking about Field. I have one message from one person, and it's saying that I have 3 notifications. Like, what is that? What are you talking about? Absurd. I have, however, just come across a profile that says in the bio, and I quote, "Fat ass with a whole lot of heart." So I'm gonna like that person because that's funny. Anyway, it's happened. Now I'm wondering if there's a difference between content warning and trigger warnings. I use them interchangeably. Yeah, sometimes use trigger warning inappropriately, innit? Because, like, a trigger would be a, like, something that will cause someone to have a mental trauma response, right? And while transphobia can certainly do that to people, it won't do that to everyone. And so it's better to just say content warning, because it's like, well, I'm just letting you know that this is in the content, because then that successfully tells people that, like, you know, if this is a trigger for you, then, you know, you should avoid it. But also, if people just don't want that in their life that day, do you know what I mean? And also, people sometimes can handle stuff if they're mentally prepared for what's in content, rather than, like, just have it, like, come out of nowhere. So that's why that is. That's what that is. All right, let's have a little look. Don't forget, chat, like, share, comment, subscribe on the Thought Slime Vibby. Support our gal, Mildred. And let's check out this video. Yes, I think we should watch the Australian Garden Dad after this video. I agree. As a palate cleanser.
Or whenever, this jabroni, Michael Knowles, was in a bit of hot water. People were saying that he called for a literal, actual genocide of transgender people. A claim he vociferously denied. He went so far as to threaten news outlets with a big fat libel lawsuit.
This guy looks like Jimmy Neutron. Why does he look like someone has, like, crafted him in Blender? What's going on, chat? He looks like someone has, like, created him. He looks like Woody, Toy Story Woody, Jimmy Neutron, 3D model, cartoon face.
If they didn't retract their reporting on the thing that he said out loud. I know I'm a little behind on this. This is old news.
Oh, look at this. Look. She is serving
at this point, but I wanted to do a bit of a deeper dive into this one and investigate if there's any truth to the claim that Michael Knowles from the Daily Wire called for a literal, actual genocide.
He's another failed actor who pivoted to a reactionary hate. No, he isn't. Michael Knowles. Hold up. Michael Knowles, actor. No. Not the same. Wait, this guy is younger than me. This guy is younger than me. Okay. Oh yeah, Knowles began training as an actor with the Stella Adler Studio of Acting. Let's have a look. Advanced Teen Conservatory, graduated with a BA from Yale. Produced the first English rendering of Machiavelli's play Andrea. Interesting. Raised Catholic. Fell away during adolescence. At Yale, he experienced a reconversion, spurred at first by ontological arguments. What? Like, how can you exist if God doesn't work? How can you exist if God isn't real? Oh, well, and now I believe in God again. What the fuck is going on? Daily Wire people just crawling out the woodwork. Yeah, for sure. The dark side of the Force warps your body even as it prolongs your life. Yeah, that's right. Before graduating from Yale University, Knowles participated in 2 web series, Never Do Business with Friends and Survive. Upon graduation, Knowles trained with Win Handman at his acting studio in New York City, appeared in various web series, films, and television shows. It was reported in March 2023 by the Daily Dot that Knowles appeared in the student film House of Shades as a queer man that seduces another man at a nightclub. So he's fine. He's fine doing that, is he? He's fine to do that. Okay, all right, just, you know. After moving to Los Angeles, he acted in the television pilot of I'm Back and in the television movies Life Coach and Blend In. He also starred as Alejandro in the comedy feature film Holly Weird. Holly Weird. Holly Weird? Holly Weird in 2019. 2 outsiders tried to make it through the weirdness of being Latino in Hollywood, one by lying to himself, the other by lying to the world. Interesting. So it wasn't even that long ago that he was doing acting. So he's still kind of recent, you know? That'll be shit like, I guess God is the biggest thing ever, and there is a biggest thing ever, then God is real. Oh, right. Ontological bullshit stuff. Yeah, for sure. All right, okay. Well, fair enough.
Genocide of trans people out loud with his mouth. So let's take a look at the evidence and weigh the likelihood, because, you know, it's not like we can just get a videotape of him saying it in front of a big crowd of clapping people. Shut up, me. Listen, this video is it's chock full of content, okay? And it's not going to trigger you because guess what? I'm going to warn you about it right now. It's got all of this stuff in it, all of this stuff here. From this point on, you're going to have to listen to like some wiener be like, oh, transgenderism must be eradicated. And by the way, transgenderism, not even a word.
Not even a word. Not even a thing.
Knowles. And you know me, I'm not a very serious person. But maybe this one is going to get to you a little bit, and that, I get, exercise some caution here. Viewer discretion is advised. If you don't want to watch the video, that's fine. Go do something else. When was the last time you played Sonic 3 and Knuckles?
Okay, Mildo. When was the last time I played Sonic 3 and Knuckles? I plugged in my fucking 33-year-old Sega Mega Drive the other day. And plugged that right in, and it works on my telly and everything, even though my telly's not a 4:3 aspect ratio television from the 90s. So that's when I played it. It was literally the other day.
That's a great game. Taxi.
There can be no middle way in dealing with transgenderism. It is all or nothing.
Yeah, this term should not be used as it is often a term used by anti-transgender activists to dehumanize transgender people and reduce who they are to a condition. Right, exactly. Hey, Kiri, how's it going?
Transgenderism must be eradicated from public life entirely. The whole preposterous ideology at every level.
Not an ideology. Again, not an ideology.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, he did. That was easy, because... It was that stuff. Like the thing he is saying here is that. I mean, it's true that he didn't say the words, hey, everybody.
No worries, Rebel. Thanks for being here.
Do a big time genocide. I got my genocide and suit all picked out. We can make an afternoon of it. Sure. Didn't say that. I'll grant you that much. It's just I don't know if there's any other reasonable way to read the sentence, the eradication of transgenderism from public life, to mean anything other than the removal of transgender people from public life. Like, how else would one accomplish such a thing? I mean, don't get me wrong. There are lots of unreasonable ways to interpret it. Maybe he was suffering from some sort of aphasia. Maybe an evil wizard was puppeteering his body and he didn't say any of that. Maybe he speaks a language that sounds identical to English, but all of the words have the opposite meaning, like in the Bizarro world. But you know, if we restrict ourselves to what could have actually happened, yeah, he did call for genocide, yes.
Good work, Kiri. I'm excited to see what your new video is all about. I'm very good, thank you, yeah.
If eradicating transgenderism from public life means that nobody is allowed to live publicly as anything other than the gender assigned to them at birth, which he will go on to say later in this video, that requires one of three things to be done about people who have already transitioned. Either they are forcibly detransitioned, rounded up and put into concentration camps, or murdered. Now, I don't think I need to explain why rounding categories of human being up and putting them in concentration camps or murdering them is genocide. I know that the definition of genocide is up for debate among various types of people who, for one reason or another, want to downplay the severity of the genocides the guys they liked did.
That's
Here's
right.
an example of what that might look like.
For centuries, he was universally admired as a hero. Now, he's widely considered to be a despoiler of paradise, an enslaver, and a genocidal maniac.
So they're talking about, PragerU's talking about Christopher Columbus there. If you don't know about Christopher Columbus, he literally like got massive big dogs to like eat alive queer people, queer native people when he quote unquote discovered America.
I'm talking, of course.
I can't remember like what the big dogs are called. They're like Spanish lion dogs or some shit like that. Like I can't remember the dogs that he used. Spanish lion dogs or something. I can't remember. Mastiffs. Yeah. Mastiffs. Alanos, is that what they're called? Behind the Bastards did a whole series on him. Yeah, extremely fucked up. Extremely fucked up. A lynx? No, that's a cat. What are you on about? That's a fucking cat.
About Christopher Columbus. Is he a hero or a villain?
It's this guy. Oh, he's actually there doing it.
But, you know, there's really no definition where one could round up a minority group into a concentration camp and or murder camp without being classified as a genocide. I think we can agree on that much, right? So like, let's set that aside. Legit. Let us assume he wasn't saying out loud that he would want anything quite so obvious. So we will charitably assume he is insinuating a sort of forcible detransition scenario. And that itself is unfathomably cruel. It's torture. And it's also still genocide, Mikey. The same way that it would be genocide to attempt to wipe out a religion by making it illegal.
True.
Historically, that has, been a major component of the worst genocides in history. Like, you need not kill everybody in order for something to be a genocide. But the version you propose also necessitates, like, compulsory surgery, which, that's not great. That seems pretty bad. And again, people don't need to die for this to be a genocidal act, but
they almost would,
either from suicide or from refusing to comply with law enforcement's attempt to police their gender identity. But okay, thought experiment. Let's say we lived in a fantasy world where everyone went along with it and was okay with it. That'd still be a genocide. Like, to eradicate the culture of a minority group is still genocide, even if they accept it under penalty of death or imprisonment, So,
yeah, it's again, I like how like Mildred is sort of like tying this up with indigenous genocide in the US, because it's like, it was funny because like last night my partner were watching Twin Peaks at the minute, yeah. And she was like, there's a trans character called Denise Bryson that's played by David Duchovny, and it's widely recognized as like really good trans representation, despite it being in like 1992 or 1991 or whatever. And Telefo, what are you fucking doing in the chat here? Why are you doing this? Columbus was trialed for bringing natives to court without their consent. There's a lot of Spanish black legend about the Spanish history, though. Compare the South Americans' populations with the North Americans. Ask then who did the genocide. What are you talking about here? What are you on about here? You've said some like really questionable shit in my chat. Like, one thing about Black Lives Matter, like Black Lives Matter doesn't like it's shit. They're all you know, traitors because like the owner, quote unquote, the owner has millions of dollars. Now you're like trying to debate someone about like who did the most genocide. Like what is your aim here, pal? Like, what is your fucking aim in this conversation? Like, what's going on? There was more mixing than genocide. You are a fucking idiot, dude. Most deaths came by way of epidemics. So do you think for a fucking second, yeah? Do you think for a fucking second that those epidemics like would have still happened if like the white people hadn't come to Turtle Island? Do you think that would have still fucking happened? Because you're a fucking clown if you think so. You're like an actual clown. The Spanish literally did genocide in North and South America, yeah. There's no point in like trying to like mix up like, oh, there was more genocide done. Like, and when you say mixing, do you know why a lot of the mixing happened? Do you know why a lot of the quote unquote mixing happened? Yeah, it's called fucking rape. Oh, so we voluntarily brought those diseases. You know what, bro? This community isn't for you. You're a fucking racist and you need to think about what the fuck you're thinking. Oh, so we voluntarily brought those diseases? You fucking cunt. You fucking prick. Who the fuck do you think you are? Piece of shit. The fuck out of here. There's a very extended thought in colonialism apologists in Spain. Yep. Absolutely. We don't have that in this chat. Folks. Right. The case against Michael Knowles. Where were we? What the fuck was I talking about then? I was in the middle of talking about the trans character in Twin Peaks. So my partner, in the scene in Twin Peaks when Denise Bryson comes in, there is a native character in Twin Peaks called Hawk, right? And there are like certain problematic elements with Hawk, but there are like certain good things. I don't know. I've not really heard many like indigenous people speak about like the representation of Hawk in Twin Peaks. However, he reacts in the way that you would expect any sort of like cis-het man to react to Denise Bryson's character. He's not like overly transphobic, definitely misgenders her, but like refuses to shake her hand and stuff like that and is sort of like looking at her like that. Do you know what I mean? But again, like there's no like overt transphobia, and it's kind of like and my partner was like, oh, that's weird that like the indigenous character would do that. And at which point I said, listen, not all indigenous people, like, you know, in Turtle Island, what's known as the USA now, and North America and Canada and all that, not all of them had like the same understanding of gender. Also, not all of them like will be aware of that like history of their ancestors, if like their tribe, their nation or whatever like actually like did believe in like multiple genders and have acceptance and all that stuff for queer, two-spirit people and what have you. They might not have even like been taught about that, because so much native history has been like destroyed and removed. And also what you've got to remember as well is that like what Mildred's going on about here, which is why it's such an interesting sort of you know, thing to talk about, because like, you know, if you are taken away from your culture under pain of death, right, whatever that is, like, you know, taken away from it and like forced, like brought up in like, you know, Catholic schools, which is like, well, a lot of that shit fucking happened, you know, in the genocide of native and indigenous people in America, both Americas, both North and South America. And they were put in schools and had all of their history detaught from them. Like they were given to like white families, you know, basically taken away from their parents and like given to white families and all that kind of shit. Like, you know, just completely destroying everything about their history and shit, right? So they had no fucking idea, you know, who they were or like what their culture was or anything like that. And that is genocide. That is absolutely genocide, right? Because you're removing a person's culture. You're like taking that away from them forcibly under pain of death, under pain of like some kind of punishment. You know what I mean?
But like, yeah, he did call for genocide. Again, here's him doing it.
Transgenderism must be eradicated from public life entirely.
See? I'm not...
Thasmadar, Lily Simpson is actually the person I watched who did that video on Twin Peaks. I actually watched that video where she talks about Denise Bryson being good trans representation, yeah. So yeah, don't you worry. I'm well aware of Lily Simpson, friend of Red Planet.
I'm not making this up. It's in the video. If you're part of my audience, you likely already know this. I'm preaching to the converted a little. I'm not here to prove that Knowles advocated genocide. As I have demonstrated, that doesn't require proving. He did. We all saw him do it. He did it on a big stage in front of a lot of people. That's actually not up for debate. It's a matter of public record. And if anyone is interested in suing me about that, my email address is thoughtslimeeditor@gmail.com. No, what I'd like to talk about is the way that he reacted to being criticized for the things he said. What that says in turn about our modern media ecosystem, and just how easy it is to dodge accountability by disappearing into an ink cloud of bad faith bullshit, like some sort of bullshit squid. How the far right have fractured consensus reality so completely that we can no longer agree on something as simple as, no, you said the thing that you just said. And crucially, how I think we should respond when things like this happen.
Hell yeah.
So, how did tricky little Mike wriggle his way out of this one? Here he is explaining how he couldn't possibly be talking about a genocide.
They said that I was calling for the extermination of transgender people. They said I was calling for a genocide against, I said, what? I must have missed that part of my show. When did I say that? Transgenderism must be eradicated. One, I don't know how you could have a genocide of transgender people because genocide refers to genes.
What the fuck? You can't help but smile when saying genocide. Yeah. Genocide refers to genes, genetics. No, it doesn't. It comes from the Latin gen, which means people, right? That's what it means. This guy is trying to do like, you know, he's trying to do semantics. He's like, yeah, you know, like I said this, but like actually like genocide, it's like specifically it's about like your genes. And if you've got like, you know, you can't have transgenderism in your genes. You can't be transgender in your genes and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, oh my God. Look at this show. Look at this chat. The show did end up being about fascism today. It actually did.
Refers to genetics.
Slimy worm.
It refers to biology. And the whole point of transgenderism is that it has nothing to do with biology. That's what the...
Yeah, but it does though. It actually does. It has a lot to do with biology. Like biology is like, you know, extremely fluid. People like even, you know, scientists, biologists have said that like, yeah, if you're trans, like that's like a legitimate biological thing. It's like they think that like the you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just so bad. It's just so bad, honestly. So he has to prove that being trans is not in my genes, right? Exactly. Our genes seem to matter an awful lot to transphobes under certain circumstances. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Weird that, isn't it? It's true, I'm trans and haven't actually worn jeans since coming out 5 years ago. Yeah, you know what? He's got you there, hasn't he? He's got you there. Trans people, biological change if they go through medical transition too. Trust me, even the skin changes. Yeah, for sure. That's right.
transgender activists say. They say, forget about biological sex. My gender expression doesn't have to have anything to do with my biological sex. Okay, well then there can't be a genocide. That refers to genetics.
All of that is wrong. And I will show you why.
He also looks like a fake person. I was literally saying that about 20 minutes ago.
Is pointless.
Jimmy
He's
Neutron.
not stupid enough to believe it. But for the record, the geno in genocide does not refer to genes. They're from the same root word, genos, which, if he had bothered to Google, he would have read, quote, the word genos was widely and variously used in Greek of all periods to denote species, genus, sort, category, birth, kin, race, lineage, family, generation, posterity, etc. It's a word that means a sort, a grouping, a type of guy. He's wrong. Full stop. And I don't think he cares. He knew what he was doing here. This is a style of argumentation that I would like to dub liberal bait. You see, liberals love to argue about things like this, about matters of technicality and specific rules and what words mean and dates and times. They love to correct basic factual errors in a statement, and he's counting on them to focus on that and ignore the horrible, monstrous thing he actually means.
Yeah.
It's a method of controlling the narrative, making your opponents look like pedants rather than people with meaningful critique. Because to the average person, engaging with shit like what the etymology of the word genocide is just comes across as petty. I believe he has staked his claim on this deliberate factual error in order to elicit such a response. Because let's face it, part of the appeal of political debate for many liberals, not all, many, is getting to feel a little superior, getting to feel like they're the adult in the room. And regardless of whether or not that feeling is justified, it has the side effect of absolutely pissing off anyone who doesn't already agree with liberals.
Right.
It's just some bullshit.
No trans person is going to say biology doesn't matter at all. No trans person is going to say that because it obviously does. Right. This is the thing. It's just like, it's just such a fucking absurd argument just in general. It's like, you know, no one is mad. At the end of the day, the arguments don't matter, right? Because anyone could say anything and it doesn't matter. As long as they get to have a go at trans people, that's what counts, right?
He made up. It's nothing. We can summarily dismiss his entire argument on that basis. Like, all of it is based on that, right? But to do so would be to take the bait. It would be to concede that if it were true that genocide referred to genetics or biology or whatever, the rest of his argument and all of the emotionally charged nonsense within would be reasonable.
Right.
The definition and etymology of words is not persuasive, it's not compelling, and wasting time with that while he fearmongers about the dangerous transes coming to steal your dick gives him what he wants. Really take a look at the things
Coming
he
to
is
steal
saying
your
without
penis
saying here. Ignore that he is wrong for a second and pay attention to what motivates his motivated reasoning, how he is wrong and why. And not just to the words, but like to the emotional picture he is painting. Hey, what the fuck do you mean that trans people say, forget about biological sex? How does that make any sense at all? Do you know what a trans person is, Michael Knowles of the Daily Wire? Trans people tend to be a lot more keenly aware of their biological sex than most people. Michael, often they put a lot of work into physically changing it. Like, you'd have to be aware of it.
It's true, Murphy.
It is central to their experience of the world in ways that it is often not for cis people. Putting that aside, your argument here is that since any trans person who might disagree with you does not believe that this is a genetics issue, you therefore could not be calling for genocide, but also it actually is a genetics issue, so seems like you could have been, Michael. Seems like the argument you're attempting to make here is that it absolutely is genocide, but if your opponents admitted that, they'd have to admit there's some kind of biological basis to gender, which still puts you in the, you know, category of someone who advocated genocide. And even if we put all of that aside, I don't know if saying that you wish to perform what would otherwise be a genocide on people who the term does not technically apply to is a meaningful moral distinction. The reason genocide is wrong isn't because of who it's done to. It is, in principle, wrong to exterminate groups of people, either physically or by forcibly conforming them to some other standard of being, to which I'm sure he might respond.
But furthermore, nobody's calling to exterminate anybody, because the other problem with that statement is that transgender people is not a real ontological category. It's not.
Oh, he loves this ontological shit. He loves this ontological shit. It's literally like, this is why I became a Catholic again, you know, ontology. So important.
Not a legitimate category of being.
It is, though. It actually is, though. It actually genuinely is a legitimate category of being. Like, Grim Key. I don't know who this is. Grim Key. Is that how you say that? Grim Kai. Thank you for the sub. Welcome to the stream. How you doing? Like a transgender person is just a person who has transitioned their gender. Like, that's what it is, isn't it? It's like it is a legitimate category of being. For sure it is. He's dumb enough to fall for it, so he assumes everybody is. Yeah, that's what it is. Ontological dumbass. Yeah, very true. He literally learned that when you say ontological to liberals, you get authority.
Okay, that's weird. That's a weird way to respond to the claim that you are advocating mass murder. If someone accused me of exterminationism, I would say, what the hell are you talking about? I don't want to kill anybody. I don't want to wipe out any cultures. I'm not a hateful person. I don't want to do that. But Knowles instead makes it clear that if he were exterminating people, which he is not, but if he were, you know, it would just be a series of individuals who don't cohere into a group. So you can't call that exterminationism. It's a perfectly innocent series of discrete exterminations. Nobody is saying we want to eliminate.
Literally, he doesn't like. You know, failing to understand that trans people are people, or refusing to accept that trans people are people, and just like any kind of genocide that's happened over the past, you know, like Hitler didn't believe that Jews were real people. Like, he didn't believe it was like a legitimate category of being either. You know what I mean? He didn't believe that like gypsies, Roma travelers were legitimate categories of being either, or like queers in general. You know what I mean? He didn't believe that it was like a legitimate category of being. Like, all the Nazis thought that, like, actually that stuff is legitimately what has been used to make genocides happen all throughout history. The depersoning of people is what leads to genocide.
A legitimate ontological category here. Just a bunch of people. What a relief. Do you see the bait inherent to this, though?
Yeah, that's what the word degenerate's
about. That's not how you do an ontology. He is not arguing here that transgender people are not a real ontological category.
That's right, yeah.
Those words, in that order, make no sense. He's arguing that they are ontologically miscategorized. There are
People who think that they're the wrong sex, but they're mistaken. They're laboring under a delusion.
They're mistaken. It's a delusion. Like, you know, I've heard trans people say this as well. Like, you know, there are lots of people who are transphobic who think that trans people are, like, they think that they're cis. I think we spoke about this literally last stream. Because this is the shit that Lawrence Fox was talking about as well. You know, where it's like, oh, but they've not really become women, are they? Because they don't have wombs. And it's like, right, I don't think there are any trans women out there who have, like, deluded themselves into thinking that, like, they were born a woman. Like, it just doesn't exist. It's not true. Like, in terms of, like, born, like, you, like, I don't know. I don't want to get too much into this because it's not for me to say, but, like, trans people are, like, very well aware that, like, they are trans. Do you know what I mean? They are transgender. They're not, like, you know, they weren't born in the body that they're in now, but now they are. And that's what counts, right? That's literally the thing that counts. And it's just like, yeah, that's why we say trans women, because we're trans and we're women. Exactly. It's like, it's just so absurd that they think for a second. But Mule, I saw it on Little Britain. Right, exactly, yeah, exactly. That's the whole shit, right? It's the transphobia that's in the media. It's like the overwhelming cis heteropatriarchy that just, like, again and again and again reinforces, like, this idea that trans people are some kind of, like, you know, mental you know, illness that, like, just needs to be treated in the correct way and then it will be sorted. You know what I mean? But like, obviously, the correct way to treat trans people with anything is with gender-affirming care, you know?
And so we need to correct that delusion.
Even if we accept his extremely bigoted definition of trans people here, that they are people who labor under a delusion that they're the wrong sex, which is obviously wrong in several different ways, ontologically, that's still a category of person.
Exactly this dungeon.
Otherwise, there could not be a word to refer to such people. Being an ontological category does not legitimize or delegitimize ideas that people within that category might possess. Flat earthers are ontologically a category of person. They're people that believe the earth is flat, even if they're incorrect. Okay, sure.
Yeah,
right?
There you go.
But here's the important thing you absolutely need to understand. This is critical. Neither he, nor I, nor you, nor anyone cares. In my opinion, this is once again a deliberate error to goad people into long-winded discussions that dance around the topic being discussed, giving the impression that his critics are hoity-toity egghead busybodies.
Yeah.
People more interested in discussing philosophy and high-minded hypotheticals than the real world. Because his statement that trans people are not a legitimate ontological category of being it's nonsense. It's loop-de-loops and flibberty-gibbets. It's highly distracting drivel. It's meant to distract you from the actually dangerous, actually hateful things he is saying, to wit.
There are people who think that they're the wrong sex. They're laboring under a delusion.
And just tip to toe, that is nonsense. That is calculated misinformation. The only word in those sentences which is correct is people. Trans people do not categorically believe they are any sex in particular. There is a wide spectrum of how sex and gender may intersect and what the relationship between them is for each individual. But to flatten the whole of the trans experience into people who are one thing but believe they are another shows an alarming poverty of thought and a complete lack of intellectual curiosity about the actual subject matter. Again, I think, deliberately. It assumes that there are two discrete, mutually exclusive sexes, that gender expression naturally neatly maps onto one or the other, and that to be trans means that one believes themselves to belong to the opposite category than he would think they do. All of these assumptions are demonstrably false. Please note here, I'm not hedging my words. I'm not saying, in my opinion, he is factually wrong on all of these counts.
It's
Firstly, and most obviously, biological sex is not a binary and there is no scientific way to make it one. Any marker of biological sex which supposedly sorts people into one of two immutable, irreversible categories can be found flip-flopping in either category all across the natural world.
That's right.
Cis women can grow beards. They can have secret inner testicles and still give birth. Cis men have titties. Cis women supermodels can have Y chromosomes. A considerable portion of the population is born with non-standard genitalia and are often subject to corrective surgery, quote unquote, in order to give the impression that they from birth conformed to arbitrary designations, which demonstrates how harmful this assumption can be. I could go on, but any of these examples demonstrates the fluidity of these signifiers. There is, full stop, no way to neatly divide these two supposedly mutually exclusive categories without creating exceptions. The existence of such an exception, even if they were vanishingly rare, which they are not, means that sex is not a binary and it never could be. When we say sex in terms of like biological sex or like the sex of a person and not in terms of like the thing Michael Knowles will never have,
good one.
we're referring to an abstraction, a useful generalization, not an ironclad set of rules each and every human body adheres to.
You know what I'm learning more and more, chat? I'm learning more and more that like when people use the word sex to define like, you know, what gender they were assigned at birth, or just like what gender someone is in general, it's a lot like, you know, a generally agreed sort of fluid thing. Like that's what it is. It's like, well, you know, this person had a penis when they were born, so you know, we're gonna say that they're like a man, like science reasons, do you know what I mean? But then like science also like legitimately, well, trans people like, you know, working like, you know, on their own and transitioning on their own without the help of science and medicine and all that stuff, like, you know, eventually like forced science to be like, well, okay, yeah, we have like, so, you know, we say someone's a man, but like, okay, well, they're a trans woman, do you know what I mean? Like, even though they were like, you know, assigned male at birth, and then that's where like assigned male at birth comes from. Yeah, it just makes a lot of sense. It's like, yeah, transphobes, yeah, they're obviously anti-science, like obviously, like You know, I always thought that like science was just sort of like, you know, explicitly transphobic. Do you know what I mean? But then if you think about it, it's like, well, actually, no. You know what I mean? I mean, there is a lot of science that's like explicitly transphobic. I guess like not science, but like medical institutions like the NHS and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's complicated. It's complicated. Nature, famous for exceptions, like gravity is a force. Unless, yeah, exactly. Even cis people's sex shifts over the course of their lives. Right, yeah, like your hormones will like... Well, here's a thing that I think all the time, yeah? I think about this all the time. When you look at like two old people, if you got two old people together and like shaved their heads, right? Just shave their heads completely and just look at them from like the top up, you would have no way. You'd have no way of telling like what's in the pants. Like it's impossible to tell. Every single old person looks exactly the same. Do you know what I mean? Whenever I talk about this shit, I describe gender crits as anti-science eugenics people. Yeah, for real. Yeah, they are. It's like astrology. This child was born under the sign of the boobs. Therefore, they'll get paid less and catcalled. Oh, God, yeah. The culture that the scientist comes from is transphobic. Yeah, for real. That colors their views. Yeah. Yeah, just like every baby looks the same. Every baby looks the same. That's so true. Every single baby, like kids as well, like prepubescent kids, they look the fucking same. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, it is, like, I think we do have to, like, really get serious in it. Do you know what I mean? The way that, like, we, like, force kids to, like, cut their hair and shit like that, it's fucking messed up, right? Do you know what I mean? It's fucking messed up, isn't it? Just like, no, you wear the boys' clothes because you're the boy. You wear the girls' clothes because you're the girl. Like, it's just so, it is really just so messed up, isn't it? Fucking hell.
Material reality does not conform itself to the language we use to describe it. So then, for example, if we say male, we're referring to a person who has enough of the typically male signifiers that they can be categorized thusly. There's no scientific reason, therefore, that if someone is born with one set of signifiers but decides to change them later in life, that person should not be recategorized. Nor is there a reason why we can't use whatever words we want to describe a person anyway. Because words aren't real. They're just useful descriptors. Unless, of course, you had some sort of political agenda which made that deeply inconvenient. As for the second assumption, you are aware, Michael, that sex and gender expression are not the same thing. You said that trans people make this distinction earlier in this exact same video.
That's what the transgender activists say. They say, forget about biological sex. My gender expression doesn't have to have anything to do with my biological sex.
So, like, I think, like, there's, like, something, like, super messed up as well. The way that they're, like, they're always saying transgender activists, aren't they? They're never saying transgender people. It's so extremely fucked up. More people are letting their children dress and present how they want. Honestly, I can never tell a child's gender. Yeah, for real. It's none of our business. It's none of your business what a child has in their pants. And in fact, if you're concerned about what's in a child's pants, you should probably be on a register. You know what I mean? I really appreciate families that don't employ hierarchical structures. Yeah, it's good shit. Yeah, it's like, yeah. It's like if you're pro-trans existence, you're a trans rights activist. They have to call them activists or people might see trans people as people. Yeah, for sure. It's got two things going on there, hasn't it? It's got the depersoning, of trans people. And also the implication that there are people who may or may not be trans that are encouraging people to be trans. And that lines in with the overarching fascist conspiracy theory that it's all the Jews doing this, doesn't it? Because that is what they all think. That's what all these fucking pricks think, by the way. Had an interesting conversation with my wife today about like whether it would make sense to refer to one's kid as AMAB or AFAB. There's just no need. It's just a kid, innit? Do you know what I mean? It's literally just a kid. Yeah, they are concerned with the fertility of kids. It's messed up. Yeah, it's so messed up. Like, it's bizarre that their arguments work for some people, yeah, because anyone else going on about the genitals of kids would literally be like, right, it's time to put you in prison. You know, like, just anyone in society would be like, it's time to put you in prison, man. It's game over. Like, you're talking about this way too much. You know? Yeah, no worries, this dungeon sub-boss. Thanks for being here. I remember I used to hide rocks in the lining of my underwear. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Why did you do that? That's odd. Just a laugh, just for a laugh. Yeah, kids shouldn't be gendered at all. There's no need for it. Yeah, no need. Bigotry is the thinnest veil for creep shit. To save them for later, to save the rocks for later, that's a valid excuse. They see kids as property. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it is. That's what it is.
You get it. You know, you understand the distinction being made here. Now, I suppose, if you want to be deliberately fucking dumb, and I know you do, you can pretend to dispute this. That, you know, it's just it's a wrong, untrue thing that the filthy transes believe. Transphobes love to pretend as though they dispute this, but they don't. It's actually
being, yeah, when people say being cishet is the norm, I also like truly think, yeah, I also truly think that if society just did away with any kind of gender at all, like, and this is as a cis man, I'm saying this, like, generally, I've had like so many issues, like, I think like Sophie from Mars said to me that like she's heard from like a lot of other trans people that like gender dysphoria is like gender trauma, and I can't speak to the trans experience, but I can definitely speak to the cis experience, right? In that, why do I go to the gym, right? Why do I have this beard like this? I actually started growing the beard because my stubble was upsetting my partner's face, but you know, instead of having like a small beard, like going whole, like doing a big fucking beard like this, like why have I got like hair on my body but not on my back? And it's like, that is maybe not gender trauma in the same way that trans people have, but also like it's gender trauma for like cis people, because I feel like I'm not a man if I don't have these characteristics, which is fucked, right? Which is fucked. You're a man if you say you're a man. That's just it. Do you know what I mean? Please do. People must understand that cis people experience gender dysphoria because it's not a fucking medical condition. Right, of course. Yeah, it's like, you know, it makes so much sense when you say it like that. Do you know what I mean? When you explain it like that and you say like, right, you know, the reason that you like go to the gym all the time and like you're desperate to like look big and like get muscly and all that, and like, you know, if you're skinny, you feel like you're not a real man and all that. Like, it's just so absurd. It's like really, really fucked, and it fucks everybody up. It fucks everybody up, right? Strict gender representation, it hurts everybody. It hurts absolutely everybody, cis or trans. The pressure to be gender enough has caused so much harm. Yeah, so much fucking harm, honestly. I currently date a parent and I'm having the biggest fucking issue with him having those norms. Oh, what? Like thinking that being cishet is the normal? It's only the normal because we're told it's the normal. You know what I mean? You know? The right sometimes strawman us as wanting to abolish sexual dimorphism, but eliminating the physical distinctions between sexes and letting people be born as a neutral default would be the most based application of genetic modification I can think of. Yeah, I'm backing that. I'm backing it, honestly. I'm genuinely backing it.
A core belief of theirs, it is central to their understanding of the world and to their bigotry. The very fact that transphobes want to prescribe how someone may or may not behave based on their biological sex demonstrates that they agree with this principle. If you say something like a man pretending to be a woman or anything like that, you're accepting that there is a culturally constructed way to behave, dress, or look like a woman. If sex and gender were synonymous, there would not be any people who wish to perform any gendered expression other than that which corresponded to their sex. It could not happen, nor would anyone have reason to gatekeep which forms of expression corresponded to which sex, because that'd just happen naturally. And this is where we're at as a society, that I have to even explain this, but there is no gene responsible for like what clothes you wear, or whether or not you wear makeup, or what your name is, or what your haircut is, or any other gendered form of self-expression. It's not written in your bones. So like, they obviously agree then that sex and gender expression are not the same thing, as much as they pretend like they don't understand it, but their entire worldview is premised on the need to police how people present themselves.
Right.
They wouldn't have to do that if they thought sex and gender expression were actually the same thing. They're just liars. Thirdly, he claims that being trans is a delusion, that trans people delusionally believe that they are the wrong sex. If that were actually
gender is stored in the bones, it's true.
They wouldn't get so bent out of shape about drag shows, would they? Drag queens are often cis men who in no way think of themselves as women, just people putting on a show. And yet, weirdly, whenever transphobes start talking about trans people, they start throwing in drag queens in the mix as though that is relevant, when they're just actors. Do you think that Tom Holland is delusional because he believes that he is Spider-Man? Obviously, I don't accept Knowles' frame.
Night, Thasmadar. Thanks for being here.
Trans people who view themselves as their desired gender or sex are delusional. I would go so far as to call that bigoted horseshit. I think these people are correct in their assessment of themselves. Because who else would know but them? What?
Right, chat. Unfortunately, this has gone on long enough. Thasmadar going to bed made me look at the time, and I realized it's fucking midnight, and I didn't realize how long this video was going, so we're gonna put a pin in this, and we're gonna come back to this tomorrow. Now, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. It's been real fun. Thank you so much, everybody, for the subs, the follows, the donos, everything else, for being here, just for hanging out. It's been real fun. We are gonna raid someone though. Sorry for the short stream tonight. I started streaming super late, and yeah, I gotta go to bed. I gotta go to bed earlier. I'm waking up too early. I'm waking up too late in the afternoon at the moment. Honestly, it's real shit. It's a real nightmare. So I got to address that. But let's go for a raid. We're gonna raid someone. I'm gonna drop you off somewhere cool. You'll all really like it. I promise you'll all really like it. It's a channel called Kira Chats. I don't know if you've heard about her. She's really cool, really awesome. She's playing a video game. I know that's a little bit of a red flag, but she's playing a video game. It's called Fallout New Vegas. She's playing the DLC called Lonesome Road. So everybody come with me and hang out with Kira Chats. That'll be really fun. That would be really cool. I'll see you tomorrow. Stay excellent to each other. Mwah. Peace. Okay, no. We're not raiding. Oh, wait. Whoa. Is she ending? I thought she was ending. No, someone just said goodnight in the chat. Their community is too nice, because someone said goodnight in the fucking chat and everybody was like, goodnight. And I thought, oh, fucking hell. I thought that she'd finished. I thought she finished streaming. She's not finished streaming. Copy and paste the raid message in the chat again. I'm sorry. We are raiding Kira. We are. Back in a tech. Back. I won't be back. I'll be back tomorrow. I'll see you in a bit. Good night. Good night.